Hello, how are you all doing? How is everyone? Is everyone good? Hello. Oh god, I'm gonna start this stream the way I start every stream by saying I'm really tired. Also, there's something on my face and I don't know what it is. There's like there's like this spot or something. It's been really itchy. I'm tempted to get right up next to the camera and you might be able to see it and tell me what's going on, but I've not had a chance to look in a mirror. Um, Sorry. When the stream will start, whenever I fix my technical issues. I've had no technical issues this week. I was actually here early. I started the stream at 29 minutes past. I have been very good. Unless, of course, there are technical issues, in which case, whoops. No, but I think I'm good. I think we're all good. I am very good. I think. I don't know. I've been very busy today doing stuff, so I'm not sure how I am. I think I'm good. How are you all? Oh gosh. I should probably put my phone on charge. It's about to die. Been looking forward to this all day. Oh, thank you. That's very kind. I have also been looking forward to it today, but I've also been very busy doing other stuff, so I've been dreading it a little bit as well. Not dreading. That's not the right word. I've been running out of time before I've had to stream, and I wish I had more time, even though I really wanted to stream. That's a better way of putting it. Ah, dear me. Oh, I also went back to the gym. I started back on Wednesday, and then also today. So now my tits hurt a lot, and moving them is really painful. But we live. Also, look, I've never shown anyone this. I got this from Disneyland. It's a little it's a not Treasure Planet. What is it? Pizza Planet. It's a little Pizza Planet. Like like claw machine. It's cute. Oh my gosh. What is going on? How are we all? We could just chat for a bit. I've got one thing. One thing I want to talk about today. But I think it's the only thing I need to talk about because inevitably it will incur an incredible amount of discussion. Have I been hydrated and taken care of myself? These are tough times. Oh my god, I just spilled water on myself. Yeah, I've got lots of if there's one thing I do while I'm streaming, it is drink water. I drink a lot. Dear me. Oh. In fact, the best way to stay hydrated is to take a drink every time I drink. Or if you want to turn it into a drinking game, you can also take a drink every time I drink. But I would not recommend that because that would make you quite ill. Although this is like this Fanta, this blue Fanta, you can't see it. This is like this blue Fanta stuff that apparently it's a secret what flavor it is. I don't really care what flavor. I just like blue. I like blue flavor stuff. I came online just as you finished making your sandwich. Fantastic. Good job. Well done. Perfect timing. Now you've got a lovely sandwich to eat while you listen to me chat. Not swearing word. Spit. Chap spit. Last time we only had one thing. The stream was over 3 hours long. That was last week. That was 5 hours because I didn't have anything to talk about. But it turns out that just following the conversation, it doesn't stop. So this cannot be another 5 hour. This genuinely cannot be another 5 hour stream. I've got far too much to do. Oh. Dear me. But yeah, who was at that stream last time? Sorry, I'm very focused. You'll see me grabbing my chest. It's just because it kind of hurts, like I said, but grabbing it makes it feel not better, but like it's a good kind of pain. It was a fun stream last Friday. It was. Hopefully today will be equally as fun. Well, actually, no, I can promise you today will not. Today won't be fun. Today might be a little bit grueling. But it'll be, it's a discussion that needs to be had, I think. Oh no, I'm almost out. Okay. So what is going on? What is happening? Why don't we could do some questions, we can have some chats. Just some light-hearted stuff, maybe, before we get into, all the other stuff. I look good today, thank you very much. Thank you. I have nothing to say. I have nothing to add to that. few hours of it, but then you had to sleep. Yeah. Oh, I mean, what time is it there wherever I live? It's 11:38. Hope I have a beautiful day. Thank you. It is 7:39. 7:39. I stream at 7:30 every Friday, except for that once, but we don't talk about that. Oh, my chair just made like a knocking noise, and I'm home alone, and I was very confused as to what was going on. But it's just the chair. Finally halfway through your exams. Well done. Good job. Good luck for the rest of them. I forget when exams are now. I've not done exams for a couple years. But yeah. Oh yes, Discord. Hello. Head over to the Discord chat. The link is in the description. And I'm like 80% certain it's actually working this time. Usually it doesn't work, but this time I think it works. So everyone in the YouTube chat should go to the Discord chat and chat in Discord instead, because that's a good place to chat. Because actually, what I'll do is I'll see if I can get the Discord chat up on screen. Didn't work last time, but maybe this time it will. Let's see. Are we working? Yes, we've got the Discord chat up. So if you head to the Discord chat, you can chat on Discord and have it seen on the screen. Where did I get the wet floor sign? My friend stole it from a pub or something. I'm not sure. They had a penchant for pinching signs. Couldn't get another P. Had a penchant for pinching signs, yeah. Had a something for stealing signs. And they left it in my house once when they came to live there for a couple weeks. And I've just kept it with me. And it's utterly useless, but it's a nice little bit of set dressing, I think. I mean, I don't know. It's, what have we got? We've got Alex. We've got Klaus from I should speak into the microphone, that would be helpful. We've got Klaus from the show. What's it called? Not the 13 show. Umbrella Academy. Klaus from Umbrella Academy. And a little tiny little penis that my friend made. In fact, I've got another one right here. This one, like this. This has been in the background of like all of my videos recently, and no one's commented on it thus far. I like them, just sitting there. What's going on? Doing a man's worry about braces and break. The stream is good for it. Oh, good. I'm glad the stream could be a break for you. You're going back to in person on Monday. I think you should be fine if you take the precautions. And also, like, things are much better now than they were, I think. Well, yeah. I don't know. I honestly, like, there's not much you can do about it. So getting yourself stressed out about it, you know. Jellicle cats and the Jellicle ball for this. Okay, good. I'm not going to read that one out. Who would I get to play myself in a film about my life? I have two very good answers for this. One of it would only work if it was a film about my life. At my current age, because whenever anyone says, oh, who would you get to play you in like a film about your life, you'd always have to choose an actor that's younger than you, but people always choose actors that are the same age or older than them, because like obviously I can't pick an actor that's younger than me because I'm 23. If I was going to pick an actor that's playing me like, you know, in my prime, they'd be a child right now. So I'm gonna have to pick an adult. I've got two adults. One of them is Kenan Lonsdale, who Kenan Lonsdale looks very similar to me. And the other one is Justice Smith, who I've also been told looks like me. Doesn't look that much like me, but Justice Smith and Kenan Lonsdale would be the ones I'd choose. Come on. Hold on. Okay, there we go. That's as much as I can get. Yeah, I realised today, actually, that we've been in the UK, or at least I have. No, we have been in the UK in lockdown pretty much since December. It's like 5 months. That's a long time. It's been like 5 months since I've like properly done anything. It's very, very strange. Does not feel like that long. It's been a weird, strange, odd year, I think. I had something in my head, and I was going to talk about it, but I was distracted. I was talking about wet floor signs. I was talking about my background. Talking about videos. I have no idea. No idea what I was going to talk about. Oh, yeah. Speaking of videos, has anyone seen my has anyone seen my recent Joe Rogan video? A lot of Joe Rogan fans found my recent video, and I was gonna do. I think I might do at some point. Responding to my hate comments, because they are very, very funny, right? Like they are mostly like straight guys trying to insult me, and not a single one of those insults have remotely affected me, like, other than making me laugh. And sometimes, like, just the kind of insults they'll do, they are hilarious. Like, I've had people say, "Oh, why would I listen to this feminine guy?" So I was like, "Oh, like, just out of curiosity, what about me is feminine?" Like, because I don't think I seem that feminine in my videos. Like, I was genuinely just curious. What about me are you reading as feminine? And he came back and responded, which was great. He said, God, I think I can remember. You act like a bitch. That was it. You act that, which, okay. I was hoping for a really, like, sort of insightful, like, I was really hoping that this person would have like some like, you know, not insightful, but some, like, sort of, like, actual thing to say, like, "Oh, this is what's feminine about you." I'd be like, "Oh, that's interesting. That's an interesting thing that someone read as feminine." But no, he just wanted to say I was feminine as an insult, which is less satisfying, I think. Oh, what was another one? This one is great, and I was gonna post this on my Instagram story, but I didn't necessarily want to give the guy the satisfaction. So this person, and this person, he DM'd me. Oh, God, I can't remember saying what exactly. Like, "Oh, no one cares about you. Why are you even bothering?" Like, no, like, specifically, right? The one thing I remember was he said, "No one cares about you or the content that you make." Which, okay, not true, but whatever. And then, literally the following day, so this was yesterday he sent that message. Then today, I did questions on my Instagram story. I put questions up on my story, and I saw this question from this like, and it was saying, "No one cares about you," the same thing, and then insulting my nose ring, which, whatever. And I was like, hold on, clicked on it, went through, like, looked through. It was the same guy that had messaged me, "No one cares about you," the previous day, and I'm just thinking, like, if you care so little, right, about what I've said, if no one cares about my opinion, like you've told me, why are you coming back to my Instagram account to tell me that you don't? It seems like you do care. Like, if you don't care about my opinion, that is fine. As I've said, like, I think I've said many times online, right? Like, your opinion doesn't matter, right? No one needs to care about your opinion, and that's actually one thing. That's one thing that, like, that sometimes winds me up. People thinking that, like, everyone needs to care about their opinion. I don't think that anyone needs to care about my opinion. If you want to listen to me, go ahead. If you don't care about my opinion, I don't care. That's fine. But it's just really funny that people are the Discord link is in the is in the description. It's really funny to me that people really try to get at me by being like, "Oh, no one cares about you," whilst also, like, obsessively messaging me. Like, there have been people that have messaged me, and then another really funny one I love is when I get, like, I only go through my message requests, like, maybe like I think once a day, depending on how many I get. Right, like sometimes I'll go through them, like, once a day, like, probably that's a bit on average. And so I get a message, like, I'm looking through my message and I see this one being like, "Oh, so no answer then," and I go back into it, and it's this person that sent me a message, and then, like, the following day come back to being like sent me a message, like, trying to start an argument, and then come back the following day being like, "Huh, yeah, didn't think I'd get a response," and I'm like, dude, I hadn't read this. I didn't see it. And to be fair, even if I had, I'm not going to respond to some random guy looking for an argument in my in my message request. It's just not. It's not what I do. I don't, like. Why would I do that? But yeah, I mean, this is the thing, right? And it's especially, like, there's so many funny comments. I really should do a comment response video, because, like, you'd think, right? You'd think that getting, like, getting that volume of harassment from, like, one group of people would be upsetting. And, like, honestly, the only thing that bothered me, genuinely the only thing that's bothered me about this, I think, is, one, restraining myself from responding to people that are just being very, very silly. And two, so I guess two things bother me. Restraining myself from responding to people that have been very, very silly, right? Like, because if I start an argument, I cannot stop it. So I'm like, I'm not gonna message you. I'm not gonna respond to this comment, because like there's no point in trying to explain to you what you've misunderstood, because you don't care. And I've had to learn that the hard way. So the the two things that have actually bothered me about this, not the actual harassment, not any of the insults, nothing like that. It's not responding to people that I think have just misunderstood, and just having to delete some comments on a sponsored post that I had, because they were like, that's not nice to have on a like, for a brand, is it? I'll have to delete that there. And that was it. The tedium of just having to delete some comments so a brand stayed happy. Like, oh dear. I mean, you can't fault them for trying. They tried really hard. One last one, and I think I will make a comment response video, because it's so funny. There was one person that left a comment that I felt so bad for them. They were saying, oh, if the vaccine if the vaccine is like, you know, totally like real, and like this whole thing isn't fake, blah 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 blah, and it is safe, then why were they able to make a cure for this disease in a year, when it's only been around for like a year, but we still don't have a cure for cancer or HIV? And that almost sent me into a spiral, because I was like, you have no idea what you're talking about. Like, you have no idea what you're talking about here, because one, a vaccine is not a cure, right? The cures and vaccines are two very different things. And they can go hand in hand, I suppose, but they're very different things. The vaccine is preventative. A cure is like sort of fixative, essentially, right? So like, a vaccine tries to prevent you from getting the thing, or at least either lower the chances of you getting the thing, or lower the intensity of the thing when you get it. A cure, when you've got it, solves the problem and gets rid of it, right? Like, so first off, this is not a cure. It's a vaccine. Second of all, cancer is very different to a respiratory sort of disease, like a respiratory virus. Like, you have cancer and you have a viral infection. Those are very not the same. And just the fact that you just see diseases as they are all the one thing is just baffling. There is a reason I could genuinely sit and explain why we don't yet have like a cure for cancer, or, you know, like, if you're going to try and make an actual one-to-one thing, an actual vaccine for cancer, I could sit and explain that. But you should really know that before you're getting all up in arms about and being like, and if you're saying, oh, it doesn't make sense that this has happened, you should probably just like Google that, because someone will answer that question really easily for you. The reason, like, simply put, is that cancer is not really one disease. Cancer is lots of different things. Cancer is essentially just cells that don't want to stop. They don't know how to die. These cells just keep on going, right? They keep on going. And it's not like a viral infection, because viral infections is a virus, which is a little bit of like DNA or RNA, a little bit of genetic code, gets into your body, and then uses your cells to make more of itself. That's the simplest thing that a virus does. It gets into you and uses you to make more of itself, which can make you ill in a number of different ways depending on how the virus works. So cancer and viruses are just not the same thing. Right? Not the same thing at all. So finding a cure for a virus and finding a cure for cancer, fundamentally different things. You can maybe find a cure for like one kind of cancer, but that still would not solve necessarily all the other cancers, depending on like how you find that cure. And also, I studied this in university as well. I love that, like, when you do YouTube, right? People are like, oh, you're just a brainless YouTuber. Why would I trust you? And I'm like, well, I did study this at university. And I do read a fair amount about this, so like, I'm not just some brainless person that's like, you know, spouting off because the TV's told me. I don't even watch TV, to be honest. No. So that's that. But then so HIV and the current virus that's kind of taken over the world. Different things. HIV is a retrovirus, which means it gets into your DNA, and it's very difficult to get rid of, right? It's very difficult. But we have, like, while there's not necessarily a cure for it, there is a good there is a pretty solid treatment, and there have been like some cures. You know what I mean? Like, they have I've read a few. I've read every now and then. They're always like, oh, we have found a potential cure for this, where they've cured it in like a mouse or like a baby or whatever. And I need to read more into that actually, because I think I might be doing a Saigo's episode on that at some point soon. But a retrovirus is very different than the current virus, right? They're like, while they are both viruses, they are fundamentally different kind of viruses. So yeah, that's why like we found not a cure, that's why we found a vaccine so quickly for this one thing, but we haven't found a sort of a cure or, you know, a vaccine for these other things, because they're different things. But like, honestly, I think the thing with this sort of like big harassment that I'm getting, like all that harassment I'm getting from these people, it's not affecting me like emotionally at all. It's just really funny to me, the insults that are thrown at me. And I guess the one way that it's affecting me emotionally is that sometimes I'm like, oh wow, like these people actually don't know what they're talking about, right? Because like I always like to, like, if someone says, hey, you're wrong about this, I always like to sort of look into it, and I'm like, I like to check to see if I am wrong, like, because I could always be wrong, like that is an absolute fact. But when the person that's saying, hey, you're wrong about this, like clearly has not even the most fundamental understanding of what they're talking about, it's like, oh, so what? Okay, that's good. I felt a little bit crazy there, but now I'm not. But yeah, I think a comment response video might be good, because like, dearie me, yeah. I've watched your video about Joe. It's childish how some people think saying gay or anything related to someone's sexuality is insult. I really don't like people who are rude. Yeah, yeah. People were like, this guy's gay, and I'm like, no. Close, but not quite right. Yeah, I think the thing is, right, that ultimately I think a lot of men are insecure about a number of things, and so when they try to insult other men, they try and hit on those insecurities, like the sort of like masculine insecurities. And not to toot my own horn, but I'm fairly comfortable with all of that, so I don't care, especially when it's coming from some random guy I don't know. Like, for example, right, there's a lot of people being like, oh yeah, this guy has never lifted a dumbbell in his life, and I'm like, I know that's not true. Where are you getting that from? You just assumed because you disagree with me. It's just very funny. It's very funny. And like, to be fair, right, some people have misunderstood some things I said in the video, and so in the comments when people have said that, I've been like, actually, this is what I said. They're like, oh, you said that exercise has no effect on this, and I'm like, well, actually, I didn't say that. What I said was that exercise can't stop a virus, because it's not an alternative to, say, vaccinations, right? You can't just say, like, that is not what the current sort of advice is, right? They're not saying just exercise and don't bother with vaccines, right? Exercise is great and it does help. It can help. But presenting it as an alternative is just not what you should be doing. So it's interesting, right? When people hear something they don't like, or when like they think that you disagree with them, they'll put words in your mouth, and they'll like they will just sort of like respond to what they think you might think. Like the number of Americans that are like, oh yeah, this California liberal guy. I'm like, I'm from Scotland, bro. I've been to California one single time in my life a year ago for a week. I don't know where you're getting this California liberal from. Would not even describe myself really as a liberal. So try again. Am I vaccinated? Nope. Haven't got the letter yet. I'm hoping I can get one at some point soon. Oh, but yeah, actually, I just want to say this, like, really briefly. I don't think I've dealt with as many threats of violence or death threats all at one time before. And I'm not saying that it's not something that can be, like, scary and really upsetting, right? But, like, so many of the ones that I've been sent are just so, like, there's, like, they just feel like empty threats, that it's it's almost funny to me that I'm being sent these threats over a video very, very mildly criticizing a guy who at the end I'm like, yeah, he's like, I don't dislike him, I just think he should be more responsible. It's just really, oh dear. Anyway, let's move on from that. Let's move on from talking about me kicking the hornet's nest of Joe Rogan fans. Let's see what's going on in the chat. I also think HIV transmission is down as PrEP is free in Scotland. Yeah, this is insane, right? It's mental. The treatment that we've got for HIV now is just so good. It's great. So much farther along than we used to be. It's just it's great to know. But I think the issue is that not enough people really know about it. So if you are someone in a high risk group, so that would be like basically engaging in sex with I guess gay or bisexual men, just to put it broadly, speak to your doctor about going on PrEP. PrEP. I've never actually heard it said out loud. I don't know if people say PrEP. It'd be silly if they don't say PrEP. But PrEP is good. It can prepare you for... I'm not going to finish that sentence. Yes, please make that video. Okay, I will make that video. I will make it maybe next week or the week after or something. But if I do make it, I need all of you. I need all of you to go ahead and and like that video, because boy, are they not gonna like it. Death threats, Jesus. Well, I mean, God, I feel like I'm stretching it to say death threats. It's more threats of well, I'm not going to talk about it on stream because it might trigger some people. But there have been some threats. I mean, a few people have said that Joe Rogan could beat me up, which yeah, I think is absolutely true. He is a very jacked man, and I don't really fight. It's not really something that I tend to do very often. So sure, he could beat me up. Doesn't mean much to me though. I doubt he would. I doubt he'd see me in the street and be like, oh, that's that guy that made a video about me on Snapchat. Gonna snap him in half, which is something someone said, that Joe Rogan would snap me in half. Yeah, so what was I saying? Yeah, I'll make that video at some point. But yeah, no more. I'm not going to talk about that anymore because honestly, if I get onto it, I will just laugh and just I've had so many messages that I will not stop. I'm not sure if PrEP is free in England, but I know it's free in Scotland. I think it's free in Wales. Not sure about Northern Ireland. It will be free wherever you can get a free prescription, which you can definitely do in I think you can do in the entire UK apart from England because England sucks. Although I think if you go to a sexual health clinic in England, you don't have to pay for the drugs that they give you. I don't think you have to pay for them. So, why is beefcake a compliment? I don't want to be a beefcake. Ew. I don't know. I think beefcake could be a compliment. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe you don't want to be a beefcake. That's fine. You know, I mean, being like skinny. People might want to be skinny, but people might not want to be skinny. So like, you know, saying, oh, you look so slim, that might not be a compliment to someone because they don't want to be slim. You know, it's just, I guess the best way to deal with this is to not make a compliment based on someone's body unless you know what body type, unless you know they're happy with it, right? I guess that's the easiest way to do it. Or just don't comment on people's bodies. Generally, it's an easy rule to have. Okay, right. I need to stop reading. I'm gonna have to stop reading the YouTube chat for a while because like it's all talking about that thing that I don't want to get back into because I'll just keep on laughing. Recently, like 2 days ago, they've made great progress in curing HIV, and it stems from technology that was yeah. So I think it must be mRNA vaccines, right? Or something to do with that. I was reading something about that potentially being really useful for HIV a while ago. But again, I've not really looked into it. I've been so busy recently. I've not had a chance to look into very much. Oh, PrEP free for me in England with my free prescriptions. Yeah, this is the thing though. I don't understand why prescriptions are not free in England. I mean, they can be free depending on like, you know, your like how much money you make or whatever, but like they should just be free. The dentist should also be covered on the NHS, like in the entire everything. Why do you have to pay for the dentist? That's silly. Because teeth are important too. That's why there's a whole separate doctor for them. Sucks. Actually, I think the reason there's a whole separate doctor is because dentists... God, I can't remember hearing a story that dentists push for themselves to be separate for whatever reason. Oh, God, never mind. I'm not going to get into that because it's not important. And no one cares about no one cares about dentists, do they? Unless you are a dentist, in which case I care about you very, very much. All medications are £9 for over 18s. Yeah, which is frustrating because I think what can happen, right, is, or at least this happened to me. I was on like 2 medications at one point, and there was one time when I got both prescriptions at the same time, so I got to pay just £9 for the 2 of them. But there was another time where they came separately, so I had to pay £18 when I could have just paid 9. Maybe that was not what should have happened, but that's what happened to me. Do you think it's easy to get similar degree of knowledge from the internet books / self-education in general that you would get at uni? I think university does a lot of things. I think it would be incredibly difficult to get the same amount of knowledge that you get at university from being self-taught. It really depends on the course. So like, let's say it's filmmaking, right? I think you could absolutely become a very competent filmmaker, and be self-taught, right? Because that's more of a sort of practical thing, right? If you want to be a director, that's more something where practical experience is probably more valuable than the sort of theory of it. Whereas with science, that's where it gets difficult, I think, with a lot of sciences, because there are practical techniques in sciences that where basically it's kind of can't necessarily self-teach again, because again it's the same principle really, because with sciences there are sort of practical techniques that you can't really do outside of a university, because like you'd need the resources. You don't have the resources for it, right? Like I can't afford a PCR machine, so I can't do PCR if I'm self-teaching, right? Whereas a university provides me with all these resources that I can use. So, I mean, you can teach yourself theory, probably. I guess the issue with, the thing is, and I'm rambling here, a lot of university is self-taught to an extent, right? It's kind of like guided, where it's like there is a course, right? And yeah, you've got lectures and stuff, but you need to teach yourself the material. So I guess like the benefit of a university degree is not that you've necessarily got someone teaching you. It's more you've got someone telling you what is important to learn. And essentially if you're to take that, then you could be, I think, almost when it comes to theory, you could be pretty much on par with university. Although then you wouldn't have necessarily someone to answer your questions for you. So I wouldn't say that being self-taught is, like, I think being self-taught is definitely, like the knowledge of like being self-taught on something is definitely great. Like it's absolutely, it is not something to be sniffed at, but I think that a university degree sets up a framework for understanding things that makes it easier than being self-taught. Otherwise, people would just be self-taught and then go and do university exams, which some people might be able to do. And oh yeah, so you're doing a physics degree, although one of the lectures was so bad you had to self-teach the whole module. Yeah, exactly, right? So like, again, if you have a bad lecturer, or if you don't vibe with them, then that can be more difficult. But I think, yeah, I think self-teaching is fundamentally like the same core thing as university. You just need to be able to know how to answer the questions that you've got effectively. I think university just sort of streamlines the process and like makes it more simple. It's not the same as like school, for example, whereas like school, I think if you want to have a knowledge of a subject, I think school is a very different thing. Like school is good for giving you a base knowledge, making you understand certain things, but like it's not necessarily great for, I think self-teaching could be like very beneficial along with school, right? Like school can benefit greatly if you teach yourself stuff that interests you. But yeah, self-teaching, I think self-teaching is hard though, right? Like self-teaching is not what you necessarily think it is. Self-teaching isn't just like watching videos or like sort of like reading popular science books. Like self-teaching is hard stuff, right? Like, because you need to Like if you're say teaching yourself a science degree, you need to learn how to read scientific papers and like I think the thing is, right, with university, if it's a science degree, you're learning how to write scientifically and you have that feedback. I think that's the main thing that you don't get when you're self-teaching, obviously, is the feedback. So self-teaching is great, and I think more people should be I think people should really feel more free to learn things for the sake of, like, well, not necessarily just for the sake of learning, but learn things for themselves without that sort of framework. But I think that framework can be very beneficial. God. Goodness me. The government here where I am are pushing for more things to be free, which I think is great. I don't understand how those ideas haven't moved to America yet. It's complex. Well, I mean, Americans, I guess, generally don't want that. They don't want free health. Like, they don't want free healthcare because, I mean, it's not free healthcare, but, you know, it's free at point of use or whatever. But there's lots of reasons. Other people can say it better than me. I'm not a sociologist man. I could probably scrap together an answer, but it would not be a good one. God damn it! I'm just gonna drink the rest of this juice. No one. Be offended. Pay too much attention to this. Let me just. Fantastic. Oh, my back is so. Ugh. What is going on? What are we saying? While on the subject of why we have to pay for stupid things, why do we have to pay for anything? Like, genuinely, why can't we just live? There are more than enough resources on the planet. Well, the thing is that money obviously doesn't exist. It's made up. Well, it does exist, but it's like a made up thing. And the reason we made it up is because it does streamline things to an extent. However, it then also has become overcomplicated. So now we have a situation where we've invented money for the sake of money. There is a kind of money that is just computers solving problems. And then if the computer solves the problem, then there's a little bit more money for you. This is money. And you can be, wow, look at this money. It's money used to be represented by things and have value that way, but now money is just like it has genuinely become like a concept where you can ascribe value to basically a computer solving a problem. That's essentially what like cryptocurrency is, and people, as long as everyone agrees that thing has that same value, then it has that value, and that has not. It's not necessarily good. It's not necessarily helpful when people are like. We can play with pretend money and, like, you know, have like, and be like, oh, I have the most money. Like, you know, we can have all that, like, you know, like billionaires who don't literally have like $1 billion, like sort of $1 billion. They don't literally have like $1 billion bills or whatever. I would be perfectly happy for people to not even put a ceiling on the upper limits of the amount of money that they could have, so long as the people with the least amount of money still had enough to live comfortably and, like, you know, unencumbered. I don't care about the men pretending to, like, you know, playing with their pretend money and having a pissing contest about who has the most, like, this pretend stuff. That's fine. You can play your games. Just make sure that people aren't dying first. You know? Oh. Money, I guess, has become its own thing with value, not a trade for other things of actual value. Yeah, spot on. Yeah. Gosh, and this is the thing. I've been writing this NFT video for a while. I just got sidetracked and basically lost it. But I'll probably get back into finishing it at some point soon. But yeah, this NFT video I was doing, and it's just like, it is weird what we put value on, right? Because, like, this is the thing I was saying to my friend. Gold, the thing that you know, gold was like the sort of like was, if we think of like sort of like something that is like valuable, gold is that sort of like money thing, right? You can make coins out of gold or whatever, right? And gold didn't really become valuable in and of itself I guess until recently. Like, the value of gold was that it was shiny and pretty and good for making jewelry, right? Because gold is like unreactive and malleable, so you can shape it easily, and once you've done that, it won't react with other stuff, so it will stay like it is for a long time, and also it's shiny, and we think shiny things are pretty. So the value of gold for a long time, as far as I'm aware, I have not looked terribly deeply into this, but I can't find another sort of like metric of gold that was like another sort of facet of gold that was useful enough for it to so that the value could be ascribed to it, other than it being shiny and good for making jewelry, right? So gold's main value for a long time was that it was shiny, and you could shape it into things, and it wouldn't react with other stuff, so it would stay shiny and pretty and in the same shape for quite some time. That was the value of gold. And then, somewhat recently, gold has actually become valuable because it's useful. God, I can't remember what it is. It's like useful in like some kind of technology, some kind of computer. I can't remember what it is. It's something. It's I want to say a gold titanium alloy, but we're not building suits of armor that shoot repulsor blasts quite yet. It's not Iron Man. It's not the gold titanium alloy from Iron Man. Gold is valuable in like technology nowadays, and now gold actually has value in that it is useful for something. But then this is the thing: like value as a concept is really interesting, because we can ascribe value to anything, and like essentially we can ascribe value to almost anything, and essentially so long as we all agree on it, then it's then that's it. It's valuable. Gold is rare. Okay, yes, gold is rare, but like there are other things that are rare, and like being rare isn't necessarily like a value in and of itself, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like I get that, like, you know, sort of supply and demand, but just because it's rare does not sort of like it doesn't what's the word? If it wasn't useful for anything, then its rarity would be like, I guess, kind of pointless. Like, yes, it was useful as money because of all the things that I said, and also because it was rare, so you couldn't just have someone go and dig up a bunch of gold, right? But still, it's like, what is its actual value other than its rarity, and so other people can't have it? You know what I mean? What I'm saying is that it wasn't useful for something. Its value was ascribed to it because of it being shiny and pretty, and not many people could get it, right? Like, which is just interesting, right? Whereas nowadays it has value as an item that is useful, that can be used for something, right? Like food, regardless of its scarcity, like has like a value as, like, you know, it sustains you, right? So like obviously, like God, I could talk about this like for a long time, but I don't necessarily want to. I'm not a philosopher. I am not a philosopher. I just think value is interesting, and I just think it's interesting that we can make anything valuable so long as we all agree that it is valuable, which is what an NFT is, which is why I hate, like, NFTs like are basically us deciding that, like, is taking that idea of like scarcity, creating value in and of itself, and just like taking that to its extreme, I think, which is just ridiculous, because like it's so frustrating. I could talk about why I dislike NFTs for so long, but like essentially it's just us agreeing that this thing has value because you can only have one NFT for any particular thing, even though the thing itself you could have many of, right? So let's say it's an NFT pointing to like a GIF. You could create an exact copy of that GIF and you'd have the same GIF, but the NFT pointing to that GIF has value because it is scarce, because there is only one of it that's pointing to that GIF, even though it means nothing. Like, it means nothing. There is no inherent value whatsoever to it, right? Other than it points to that thing. Oh God, I will talk about this more in that video that I'm halfway through finishing. I make art. I still feel like a plonker saying artist lol. Say artist. Say it. say you're an artist. You're an artist. If you make art, you're an artist. And NFTs are a very big topic in the art community right now. I know they are. And that's part of what I was going to talk about in my video. I'm sorry, that sounded condescending. No, I know they are. And that's what interested me about them initially. And so that's what I was going to talk about, but it is expanded, so there is more to talk about. And honestly, this is the issue when I make videos, that a lot of the time I really want to look into the topic, and that I just get to fall down rabbit holes. An NFT, by the way, is a non-fungible token. It's essentially, it uses the same sort of thing that cryptocurrency uses. It's essentially a little tag that can't sort of be deleted. That is like that. Okay, so an NFT is essentially like a little sort of tag that points to something, that can't be deleted, and it says who its owner is. So it's basically like, it's like if you had a filing cabinet, right? And in the filing cabinet, you just had a little note that was like, okay, this is the NFT. This is the little note for, what's it called? Nyan Cat. This is owned by Corry. That's essentially what an NFT is, except it's not held just in a filing cabinet. It's kind of in a decentralized sort of, it's if like one server goes down, the information is still sort of available. It's a decentralized sort of thing, but fundamentally it's essentially like a filing cabinet with a lot of like notes in it, and these notes point to different things and says who owns them. And you could see a list of ownership, right? So if I want to say, hey, I'm going to sell Nyan Cat to you because I own the NFT from Nyan Cat, I'm going to sell Nyan Cat to you, then you wouldn't be able to take that NFT and then scrub my name from it. I think you'd only be able to add your name to it, sort of thing, right? So you can't, like, it's not like you can't change it. It's more complex than that, but I genuinely do not want to get into it because I cannot be bothered. What is happening? NHS was so great when it started, so it's so sad how much it's declined. Right, we say that, right? We say that the NHS is not great, right? But there was a time, like, I think within the last year or whatever, I was feeling ill. I called 111. They sent me to a hospital. I saw a doctor, and I was given a prescription, and I got sent home. The only negative part about that, was that I had to pay for that prescription because I was in England. But that is it, right? Like, that is it. I mean, obviously, I had to pay for the trip to the hospital and back, but that's like, whatever. It's just, the NHS is not necessarily bad in itself. There are a lot of problems within the NHS, specifically like with mental health stuff and with trans stuff. But no, I think the NHS, it can function very well depending on where it is and what is going on. Although, don't get me wrong, the cut funding is not good, and it definitely needs to be funded better. There are problems that need to be solved. But I think we sort of rag on the NHS a lot, but I think that, like, when you're actually using it, it can work really well sometimes. Parts of the NHS amazing, hospital care not so great. Non-emergent hospital care not so great. Yeah. Non-emergency hospital care not so great. Yeah. I'm not saying that the NHS is perfect. I'm not saying that there's not problems. I'm just saying that, like, we definitely need to talk about the problems that there are, but it can work so well, and I think it is a good thing. We just need to try and make it not shit where it is. Oh crap. We need to try and make it better where it is really falling behind. To be fair, though, the NHS is not the only thing that is, like, being held up because of the current situation, when, like, it's not necessarily, like, when it already is heavily delayed, right? There's lots of other things that are delayed because of the current situation, but, like, actually just delayed themselves for no reason. Hold on. Why did I punch myself in the chest? I've been complaining about how sore my chest is all night. It's great, but there are huge issues with underfunding in so many areas. Hospital and acute emergency care is good, but outside of that, anything routine, mental health are really struggling to serve people. Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely. I do not disagree with you at all. Corey, the Subtle Pride merch in the link in the description doesn't work. Which one is that? Let me have a look. You get to watch me look at my computer screen. Isn't that fun for you? Ooh, going to youtube.com. YouTube. I type like an old man sometimes. Gosh, I remember this teacher telling me that I should learn to touch type, and I was like, why did I was an arrogant little uh C word in high school, probably after high school as well. But I remember a teacher telling me, "Oh, you should learn to touch type," and I'm just gonna do this on my phone actually. Tell me that you should learn to touch type, and I was like, "Oh, why would I need to learn to touch type? I can just type like this." And he was right. I did need to learn to touch type. Glad I did. Sorry, Mr. Smith. Sorry for a lot of the stuff that I said. Oh boy, was I a handful? Oh God, a handful. Just annoying, really. What am I doing? I say that as though he'd be watching. He's not. I know he's not. Let me look and have a see. We're going on YouTube. Why don't we have a chat? What's going on? So it's the Subtle Pride merch in the link in the description that's not working. Really, is it? If you go to... Oh my god. Just let me sign into YouTube. Why is this taking so... No, I don't want to do that. This is so painful. What do you think of objective facts? How do you conceptualize it? I'm agnostic, but for some reason I conceptualize the facts as being decided by some higher being. Well, I think a fact is... I think the concept of a fact is something that's misunderstood. A fact is, like, we're obviously the easiest way to describe a fact is, like, something that is, like, objectively true, that, you know, that is unequivocally true. But actually, a lot of things that are facts get proven wrong after a certain period of time because we know more and, like, you know, whatever. So I don't think facts are permanent. And I think that thinking of facts as permanent leads you down the path of, like, turfs and whatnot, you know. Not being able to have a malleable view of what is correct is more of a hindrance than it would initially seem. So yeah, I think of an objective fact as something that we have strong evidence to believe is true, and no evidence to the contrary to believe, and no evidence to believe that it is false. That is not necessarily a great definition of it, but I thought of it on my feet, and I could probably come up with a better one at some point. Let's see. That's my channel. No, I want to go to YouTube Studio. But I have not got the desktop version on. I mean, look, if I'm going to be sorting out, right, if I sort out this link to the Subtle Pride merch, right, one of you had better go ahead and get one. Because otherwise it'd be a very wasteful 5 minutes or so on this channel. Oh, goodness me, Vosh is streaming right now. No wonder I've got... I'm not going to make that joke, that's silly. Let's see. Come on, zoom in. Oh my god. Are you all enjoying watching me try to solve this problem that no one really cares about while on my phone? Are you all enjoying this? Oh, bother. Oh, I've got such an itchy nose, and this nose ring is so annoying sometimes because I just want to, like, it makes my nose itchy. Oh god. What is going on? What are we chatting about? Why don't we change the tone of the direction of the chat? Why don't we ask some questions? Why don't we just have I don't even know what I'm saying, to be honest. I'm honestly saying nothing right now. But yeah, why don't we ask some questions? Why don't we have a bit of a Q&A right now while I'm doing this? You promise you'll at least look at the shop. That's not enough. I'm sorry. Every single person watching this right now has to go ahead and buy something. Is it? Maybe it's the S. Let me see. Haha. Is this gonna work? Copy. Done. Okay. Let me check. I think I might have fixed it in a second, but we don't know. something I think about a lot is if there's a blue bike, the bike is blue, but I genuinely think it's green, and I go and say it's a green bike. Is that a lie? I don't think it's a lie, but it's not true. Yeah. Again, see, the thing is that like it's I would not say it's a lie. I think that lying has to have intent. Otherwise, you're just if you don't know that you're lying, you are just wrong, right? You wouldn't say that anyone who is wrong about something is lying. Like, okay, so for example, right, like if to the best of your knowledge, if you to the best of your knowledge believe that something is true, and you say that thing, and it turns out that it is false, then you can't really fairly call that a lie. Otherwise, like every single scientist, that has been proven wrong about something, we'd have to say they were lying, right? Which is just not true. You're right. It is not working. This site is not working. I know what the issue is. That part of the website was taken down, it seems. Yes. Okay, cool. I have almost solved the problem. I'm glad you were all here to join me on this journey of solving a problem that that won't actually matter to most of you. I'm glad we could share this together. Save. There we go. Okay, problem solved. So now everyone has to go to the description and buy a piece of Subtle Pride merch. It has to be done. It has to be done. I'm sorry. I cannot continue this stream until every single person, all of you have bought something from there. Normalcitizen.store. I'm sorry. Or you could sign up to my Patreon, which is also linked in the description. It's either or. You have a choice, but it's a choice between those two. Is cereal a soup? I'm actually making a video that almost kind of answers that question. But no, I don't think cereal is a soup. But the thing is what's interesting to me about soup is that we all have a kind of general idea of what soup is. But describing what soup is, like, without, like, giving a definition of soup that includes all soups, but okay, well, let me say that again. Providing a definition of soup that includes all soups, but excludes everything that is not a soup is, to my knowledge, thus far, impossible. I have not seen a single definition of soup that includes only soup and all soup, like all soup and only soup. It is more difficult than you would think, and yet everyone has a pretty decent idea of what soup is. But then you could take that sort of ambiguity and that lack of or like those sort of broadness of definitions, and apply soupness to almost anything. You can apply it to anything, because we can't come up with a definition of soup. But we know what soup is, right? We know that when we say, oh, cereal's a soup, we're going by the dictionary definition of soup, right? Generally, we know that we're going by that definition of soup, or whatever definition of soup. But we know in our hearts, we know in ourselves that cereal doesn't truly fit the concept of soup. Not really. We're saying that just to point out the flaw in like the soup definition. And yet we still cannot find one. I think the greatest breakthrough of the 21st century will be a definition for soup. I 100% believe that. The soup, the whole soup, and nothing but the soup. Exactly. That's it. Where's your favorite / recommended site to find reliable info? Ha 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 ha. There is not a single site, and if you are looking at a single website, then you will probably not necessarily find reliable info. I like to take. It depends on what I'm looking at. If I'm reading an article, I like to know where the article has got its information from. There's lots of things to look at. There's lots of ways to find out whether information is reliable, right? And there's not necessarily just an easy fix. There's not just one place you can go to find reliable information. And so I guess, yeah, I can't really answer that question. When it comes to science stuff, I look at a lot of papers, and I look at other papers that kind of summarize those papers, and I try and sometimes look at conflicting opinions as well to see what they're saying. But I don't have an answer for you for one specific place to go to find reliable information. There are a bunch of places, there are a bunch of websites that do fact checking, and if you look at a bunch of those, they will often link their sources and whatnot. So it does make sort of finding the reliability of certain information easier, but it is by no means like a silver bullet for reliable information. And that is just the world we live in. It is not quite possible to find a place that only has reliable information, because, as I said, there is no such thing as a fact necessarily, right? Like, you could say, they could say something that they think is true, and it could turn out to be not true, and like that, then therefore that information is not reliable. It doesn't mean that they're an unreliable source necessarily, unless, you know, they're not looking into it a lot or they're getting a lot of things wrong. But like, sometimes the most knowledge that we can have on, like, we can use the most knowledge we have on a certain situation or on something and still turn out to be wrong. So reliable information is hard to find, and it's less of a just looking. There's no quick fix to it. You gotta look at a lot of places. What's going on? I'm looking up soup right now. Hold on. Yeah, no, look it up. Theoretical physics. What are you talking about? What are y'all talking about in Discord? Huh? I forgot to look at Discord. I forget. It's like the middle child. I just forget about you. What y'all saying? Don't seem to be any questions here. Oh gosh, what is happening? Oh, you're talking about what subjects you study. I see. That makes sense. Very good, very good. Oh, you're starting medical. That's very cool. That's very, very cool. Medical science. Yes. It's a cool thing to do. Well, this is, you got to remember, I think this is the thing as well, right? When it comes to picking a subject or deciding what you want to do, you got to remember that life is longer than it feels, and just because if you make like the wrong decision, you can change your mind. It is not too late. It's like pretty much never too late to start something, right? Like, if I want to be a doctor, I could probably go and start doing that now. Not like start, you know, walk into a hospital and start cutting people up, but I could start the process of becoming a doctor now. I could do that, you know. So I think follow your passion, and if you try and continue to do that, then things will probably turn out all right. And if they don't, at least you'll be doing something that you enjoy. Yeah, the definition of soup. Soup is a liquid dish, typically made by boiling meat, fish, or vegetables, etc. in stock or water. See, this is an issue. Typically made. Then, therefore, that means nothing. You're saying soup is usually this, but it can also be not this. So it is just not a definition at all. It's just not. Oh, dear me. Oh. I'm scared of going to uni during the pandemic. I have nothing to say to that. Haven't done it. Have never done it. Oh, dear me. I just joined when you said I think the greatest breakthrough of the 21st century is going to be the definition of soup. So confused. Honestly, I don't think the context can actually save you on that one. It is a very confusing statement, and I stand 100% by it. Are there more questions? I feel like there were questions that I forgot to look at. Do I think meritocracy is a myth? I don't know what that means, but well, I know what all those words mean. I don't know what you're referring to. If you mean merit, like when people say, "Oh, this is like the X is a meritocracy," I think the meritocracies can potentially exist theoretically. I don't think in the real world, meritocracies, I can't think of a meritocracy off the top of my head, but like most things that people call a meritocracy aren't necessarily a meritocracy because they're influenced by bias. And ultimately, it's almost impossible to eliminate bias. So, yep, I don't think that a true meritocracy could exist in the most like sort of in the truest sense. I mean, you could get something that is close enough to a meritocracy that I think you could comfortably call it that, but I don't think that unless you can eliminate all bias, then oh gosh. Discord, mind and keep it maybe stream related on that chat. Yeah, you can chat about what you want in general. By the way, you can go to the general chat and chat about it there. But let's keep the stream chat like on stream topics. Yeah, just because it's very difficult for me to see what's going on there when there's full conversations that are entirely unrelated. I very much struggle. Have I heard of DJ Bad Boy Friday Night? No, I've not. Oh, meritocracy, as in the rags to riches stories and such. I mean, I believe that you can go from rags to riches. I definitely think that you can if you are very good at something, then you can do well. I don't think that if you're very good at something, you will do well. I think that luck is a major part of it. Like, for example, right, when you see like all of your favorite people on YouTube, for example, they are not necessarily the best in the world at what they do or necessarily the most deserving. They're not necessarily there just because they are good at what they do, right? And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that none of them are good at what they do. I'm just saying that there are probably other people that could be as good at that. They just didn't get lucky, right? There is a high degree of luck to a lot of things. And you gotta be good at things in like most of the time, but you also gotta be lucky. So it is not like success is not just based on skill or talent or hard work. There is a high degree of luck involved as well. Oh, I just asked about meritocracy because my parents are Tories and they always talk about how it's poor people's fault that they're poor, and it really irritates me. Yeah, that's dead wrong. No, that's absolutely wrong. Being poor, if you are poor, it is harder to not be poor. There is actually it's a very, I guess, simple look at it, but there's a Terry Pratchett there's something from a Terry Pratchett book, which I really liked. I don't know if it necessarily... I probably, coming to think of it, Terry Pratchett probably did not come up with it himself, but I know it from Terry Pratchett. It's very interesting. It's the it's the Boots theory of social mobility or something like that. I cannot remember what it is called exactly, but essentially, you've got a character talking about how, well, essentially it's the idea that, like, if you're a poor person, you can only afford a cheap pair of boots, right? And then you need to replace those pair of boots, let's say, every year. And so every year you've got to pay for a new pair of boots. And so while they are cheaper boots, over the course of, say, 10 years, they're going to cost you, like, a lot of money because you need to buy a new pair of those cheap boots every year. Whereas a rich person would only need to buy, he could afford the expensive boots up front. So he'd buy the very expensive boots. And those expensive boots, they last a long time. They last, say, 10 years. So while the rich person needs to pay more for the boots, needs to pay more for the boots in the short term, as in upfront the first time, needs to pay more for the boots. Over 10 years, the rich person is paying less because the poor person is paying, a slightly lower fee for new boots every single year. And the poor person, right, their boots they've still always got holes in their boots. Their feet are still wet, even though they're paying for the cheaper boots, and they're paying every year. Their feet are still wet, even though they're putting in more money than the rich person whose feet are dry because he's got the better boots, right? That is a paraphrase. It is not the best way of looking at it. Just look up Terry Pratchett boots or whatever. I think it's a very interesting look at one of the ways in which being poor is more expensive than being well off, and especially because this whole thing, it's easier to have better credit when you've got more money and all that stuff. It's ridiculous, honestly. The fact that having more money makes it easier to spend less money. Almost, it's relative to your income. It's ridiculous. I mean, obviously, if you have more money, you can spend less money relative to your income. But what I mean is that it can sometimes be cheaper to be rich. Oh wow, the Discord chat has caught up to us. talking about soup. Well done, everyone. Stream related. The boots metaphor is excellent. Yeah, no, absolutely. I kind of loved it when I read it. Yeah, it's good. It's interesting though, because like I also saw something on Tumblr a long time ago, long time ago, about how it was just this person talking about how from experience the people they know that had less money growing up tend to just spend all their money, sort of spend it at once, and find it harder to save because if you grew up with less money, then if you save money, then it's only gonna end up having to go to like some expense anyway, like your car breaking down, and if you don't spend it now, then you won't be able to spend it on yourself at all, because again, saving just puts it to like all of the expenses that you'll end up having to get. And so it becomes harder to like being in that mindset, it becomes harder to save money even when you're making more money, because you have a mindset of, if I don't spend this on myself now or on XYZ now, then I will never get to spend it on anything on myself at all. I ignored your question twice. I didn't see it. Where's your question? I'm sorry. Where is it? Let's have a look. Does that mean chili is a soup? Yes. Okay. I will ignore questions that are asking me if XYZ is a soup, because as I've said, everything is a soup, and like nothing is a soup. Soup does not mean anything. Soup is whatever you want it to be. I don't take a while to switch between chats. I look at the Discord chat very often. It's just that there is a lot of like off-topic stuff in the Discord chat, which makes it very difficult for me to see what's going on there. So that is why it seems like it's taking me a while to switch between chats, because every time I look at the Discord chat, it is I genuinely cannot see anything that's going on, because it's just conversations about something else. How do I join this man's Discord? You join this man's Discord by going to the Discord link in the description. You could also hit the Patreon link there too if you want. If you want maybe bonus videos, to see videos early, then other live streams, like special patron live streams just for the patrons. You can do that if you want, but you can also just go to the Discord link. That's fine too. My mom isn't keen on getting the vaccination. What would you say to her? I want her to get it personally. There's lots of different things that you could say. It depends on why your mom isn't keen on getting it. Yeah, it depends on why your mom isn't keen on getting it, I suppose. But yeah, there's probably better resources out there than I could give you. Really. I guess if she's worried it's not safe, then you just need to show and explain why it is safe. If she feels like she doesn't need to get it, you could show and explain why it is pertinent for as many people as possible to get the vaccine. Yeah, there's depending on the reason, there's lots of different things. What is the weirdest thing I did as a kid? Don't know. Don't want to even think about. Don't want to even try to think about that. Not at all. That is not gonna try and think about that. Whoops! Now I feel called out. Oh no! Don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. I'm just chatting. It's all good vibes. We're all friends here. It's gotten very dark in this room. It's understandable because the sun is going down. I could almost see my friend's house from my window. That's what I was looking at. I was looking at my friend's house. Oh yeah, the stream chat. Oh, if you go to the Discord, it's the stream chat. That's what it's called. And then you'll see yourself on this screen. Look at this. Wrong way. This way. Yeah, look at that. Ooh, I'm poking the chat. Who am I poking? I thought it would be labeled Discord, lol. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, Discord's in the link, so... Yeah, maybe I should call it Discord. I didn't think about that. Or maybe I did think about that, and I forgot. It doesn't really matter. You found it now. Oh yeah, don't you have aphantasia? I have the opposite. I forget that some people can't just go back in time in their brain and replay memories. Oh no, I can go back and look at memory. I have my memories. I definitely have memories. I just don't want to remember the weirdest things I did as a kid. I don't want to have to go through the top 10. What are the weird things? Especially not on stream. I would just cringe. That would be the rest of it. Let's in regards to being poor, let's not forget that the capital is not only money. There are many types of capital, and lack of that can affect one's opportunities in society. Yes, that is also very, very true. But I honestly, like, I don't think. I mean, there's all the stuff that I'm aware of, right? And I think I know about, but I don't know enough about it to want to talk about it on stream, if that makes sense. Not read enough theory, not enough theory in my head. I've not looked at the sort of first-hand sources. I've only heard of people telling me about the first-hand sources, which yeah, so I don't necessarily want to talk about that. I'll make jokes every now and then, but I would not want to have a full conversation about capital and whatnot, because just worried that I don't understand enough to talk to other people, talk to a large group of people about it, because people will take what I say and believe it as fact, which is great, I guess, in some cases, that people can trust me so much, but also, oh boy, there's a lot of responsibility to say things that are not untrue. And sometimes I'll make a joke and people will believe the joke that I said. I once said, because I thought it would be funny, hey, you could put an egg in your mouth and bite down as hard as you want and it wouldn't crack. I thought that was obviously something that was a fake thing just to get people to crack eggs in their mouth. I thought people would get that. They didn't. People believe. I had to delete the tweet. Because I didn't want people hurting their mouths by biting on eggs, and it be my fault. What is going on in Discord chat? Is a sacrificial bowl of human blood considered a soup? I mean, just blood on its own, I would. Oh wait, hold on. No more. It's not a soup question, because the answer to it invariably. Okay, right, like. The answer to all future questions of is this thing a soup or not? The answer to it, and I will answer every single one of them right now with this one answer. It depends on how you define soup. So either yes or no, depending on what you want. Furthermore, I do not care. I do not care whether X or Y is a soup. Corry talking theory sounds awesome. It does. I'm sure it does. Corry would need to know a lot before Corry felt comfortable to talk about that in any sort of in any way that was more than speculative. Accent. I have one. It is from Scotland. I did a little TikTok about my accent, which is less than a minute long and describes as much as you need to know about it. Essentially, I moved down from Scotland to England, and because I sound slightly more English when I'm in England and not talking to Scottish people, my accent sounds different, and to some ears it sounds American for a bit until it just sounds like a weird garble. Ooh, let me see. What is going on? Why do people need to learn to Google? People have switched to being told stuff in school, not questioning it, seeing opinions. Oh yes, people need to Google because they believe that when I say to bite on an egg, yeah, she's Corry. Don't get too upset about soup. I'm not upset about soup. I'm not upset about soup. It's just that I know that if I ever bring up soup and what is or is not a soup, I will then be bombarded with questions about what is and is not a soup, and I am not planning. I am not, this is not a soup stream. This is not a stream for soup. This is a stream for other such things. Yeah, I have, well, this is the thing. I think I have a friend that's very good at, it's got a, I'm just going to take quick recommendations from them. And that may well be on them, but I'll add that to my list. The lucky thing is that a lot of people are dead. So, and they wrote it a long time ago. So their books are in the public domain, which is great. I don't need to pay for them. But other books aren't in the public domain, which means I need to pay for them, which is less good, because theory books often cost a pretty penny. But yeah, people have switched from being told stuff in school, not questioning it, with seeing opinions on the internet and believing it. Yeah. I mean, to be fair though, just the sort of statement, just Google it, is never good enough, because Googling it is hard. Like, it is easy to just Google something, sure, but to find the right answer from Google is hard, and to know when you're finding accurate information is also hard. Like, Googling is it doesn't seem like it, but it is a skill. Using a search engine and finding the answer that you have, like finding an adequate answer to a question that you've got, is a difficult thing. Or at least I tell myself that, because it's part of my job. Hey Corey, I saw your comments on a TikTok video comparing Scottish cities. Yes. Yes, you did. Because I will never pass up a chance to badmouth the city that I came from, because I think it is funny. But also it's become a lot better since I left. Don't think those two things are related, but hey, they might be. Have I ever heard of Essence of Thought? Maybe. Sounds familiar. If you tell me what it is, maybe. If it's a person on YouTube, probably. That was very... Oh, wait, I've lost my voice. My mum has dinner guests over. I didn't know... When I came from my dad's place, the guest started talking... The guest started asking me what I want to study, giving me advice while I was just stood. That was very awkward. Yeah, well, awkward thing happened. It'll be fine. You'll move on. You'll live. Oh, Corey, last time I came in a stream, I said I let the straight boys be homophobic to fit in because I'm trans. I told them to stop finally. It kind of sucks, but I don't regret it, and I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of you too, and everyone in the chat is also proud of you. Everyone is proud of you. Everyone. Everyone say how proud of this person you are. I would say your username, but it wouldn't sound right. Do I like Nicola Sturgeon? I am not engaged enough in Scottish politics to make a statement on whether I like any specific Scottish politician or not. Surprisingly, many people in my everyday life don't know what cis means. That's perfectly fine. It's your job to tell them what cis means, because why would anyone need to know what cis means? They wouldn't. And I think the attitude of educate yourself is one of the things that leads people to falling down alt-right pipelines and whatnot. But yeah. Look at that. Look at all this pride that we have for you. But yeah, no, if someone doesn't know what cis means, like, this is the thing, right? I went through a period in my life where I'm like, how could you not know this? Like, what? But no, I kind of have reached a point where I'm like, oh yeah, like, not everyone knows everything. I mean, obviously there are some things where I'm like, how does this person, like, often it's with pop culture, right? Where I'm like, how does this person miss this piece of pop culture? Like, someone told me the other day about someone they were talking to who had never heard Old Town Road. And that, to me, I was like, how have you missed Old Town Road? Like, you can't have gone out to anywhere that plays, like, current music. You've never heard it in the shops. You've never heard it on the radio, in the car, or anything. You've just never heard... That is shocking to me. That is shocking that you've managed to miss this sort of cultural touchstone here. But, like, when it comes to, like, something like someone not knowing the word for... Like, not knowing what cis means or not knowing the word, it's like, why would they need to know, right? Like in their sort of life, in their day-to-day life, there is no reason that they would necessarily need to know that. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't know it, like as in like you, like they as in you shouldn't teach them what it means, or that they like can carry on not knowing what it means. But what I mean is that, like, if they don't know what it means, then up until that point they've never needed to know what it means. You know, why would they have, like, up until that point in their life? Like, so kind of like being like, oh god, people don't know this. I get it's frustrating, like, to be like, you know, to be in that situation where people don't know this thing that you feel like should be like common knowledge. But also, I think you need to give people some leeway where it's like, well, it's not their fault. Like, it's oftentimes it's not someone's own fault for not knowing something, unless it's like willful ignorance, like they're specifically avoiding a topic. But like, yeah, most of the time not knowing something is not someone's fault, and it shouldn't be something that you necessarily hold against them. I don't get why people think you're American, not judging them at all, but to me you sound obviously Scottish. Might just be me though. Look, a lot of people hear different things. I understand why people think American. I understand why people think different things. It's a strange accent, and there are a number of different things to pick up on, and the way that you understand an accent is very odd. So if you pick up on a specific sound that I make, you might think, oh, that sounds similar to American accents, and so you'll start hearing American until I say, I'm not American, I'm this, and then you'll suddenly hear Scottish. Like, this happens invariably. People are like, oh, you're American, and I'm like, no, I'm actually from Scotland. But I've lived here for a long time, so my accent sounds American, so a lot of people think that. And then as soon as I say, oh, I'm from Scotland, they're like, oh my god, I can start to hear it now. Because your brain will interpret things differently depending on what it's expecting. It's all relative regarding pop culture. No, it depends on where you're coming from. Like, I'm much older, but I come from an ex-communist country where people are shot sometimes was my lack of pop culture. Yes. Yeah, no, absolutely. But to be clear, this person has lived in the UK for their whole life, is in their, like, 20s or early 30s, and, like, does music is their career. They are a musician. Specifically, I think they're a producer, actually. I don't remember. But yeah, no, like I get that, like, yeah, taking into account, like, okay, like, if you were raised in a like evangelical household, you probably wouldn't know a lot of pop culture from when I was a kid. But this person, like, it was shocking that this person didn't know, right? It was, like, given the circumstances, it was shocking that this person didn't know. And the explanation was that they just don't listen to the radio, and they just missed it entirely. Like, they don't engage with any of the places where it was played, and they never heard anyone talking about it or anything like that. It just never came up. Which, again, shocking. Still, that is shocking that you managed to miss that. And it's not on them. I don't mean like, oh, how could you manage to do that? Just being like, that all these things coincided. You can not know, but you can't not want to know. Yeah, absolutely. I think knowing things is great. I've seen people get so mad and think cis meant trans and made a fool of themselves. Yeah. I think that a lot of people's response to things, well, I think that betrays their transphobia more than anything, right? That's less about not knowing what cis means and more about being transphobic and also not knowing what cis means. And also, not gonna lie, like, if you're gonna be transphobic, which I wouldn't personally recommend, to be perfectly honest, I would say avoid that generally. Not really any situation I can see that being beneficial, you know, I just can't see that. But if you absolutely have to be transphobic, I think you should probably have at least some idea of what you hate, you know? Because if you don't know anything about trans people, then it's like, what's the point in hating them, you know? Like, if you don't know anything about them, then you don't know what you're hating. You don't know what you got yourself in for. You don't know what you've signed up for. So I would recommend wholeheartedly that if you're gonna hate something or someone, you should have some idea of what you hate. And I think for transphobes, that should probably mean understanding what cis means. I mean, obviously, if I was going to give them any advice, I'd say don't be transphobic. But, you know, if they're not going to budge on that, then the absolute basic would be to learn what cis means and maybe make slightly less of a fool of themselves. Honestly, whenever someone insults me and is homophobic or transphobic or etc., I try to be kind to them and educate them and teach them to educate themselves more, because hopefully that can quell their hate and make the world a less bad place. I agree. Honestly, this is something that I've done in my comments a lot of times, where someone has said something and not gonna lie, if you're gonna take this, I genuinely recommend doing this, right? I genuinely recommend, wherever you can, if you see someone that is like sort of being hateful and you think it's out of ignorance and you think that you can get through to them, would genuinely recommend making a bit of an effort to educate them, right? And that involves being nice and not being condescending and just being like, well, look, this is this and like that is that, and I see why you think this, but actually this is the case. It takes a lot of energy and it is not easy and they may be resistant, but a lot of the times I find that when you're like polite to people, and when people have been quite like rude and then you're polite to them, often they don't quite know how to react because they don't expect you to do that, and they will be slightly more receptive. And so if you're just sort of polite and you're like, this is that, and you try and educate them in that way, you might actually change someone's mind. Or if you don't change someone's mind, you might set someone on the path to having their mind changed more later. So it's always, I think it's always a good idea, if you think that someone might be receptive to it in even the slightest sense, to give it a go. Bear in mind, the majority of the time, it will not work. It will feel like an absolute waste of your time. And if you cannot handle that, then just try and avoid the situation. The worst thing I think to do is to like, and I'm guilty of this as well, I've done this, is to just antagonize and make fun, right? And I have done that, right? But like, yeah, if you're engaging in a conversation with someone specifically, like in a comment section or whatever, there's not much point in just making fun of them, I don't think, right? Like, I mean, like, you can make fun of ideas or whatever, in a different place, I think. Like, that's fine. But if you're one-on-one with someone, making fun of them is not going to make them want to agree with you. So, I would avoid that. But yeah, like, if, like, I try to do this a lot, where I just try and, like, have a decent conversation with someone. And, yeah, like I said, a lot of the time, it is a waste of time, it feels like. But I think it is still overall worth it to do. Ugh, what is going on in the chat? Ugh. I thought Corey was a Brit, to be honest. I've watched very few of his vids and usually watch Sam Collins and Jamie Dodger. I am British. I'm from Britain. Scotland is in Britain. Oh yeah, it's been a while since I've heard homophobia or transphobia. But, well, being online, I hear it a lot, and I mean, seeing it on, like, it being directed towards you online is very different than having it directed to you in person. But like, online at least, it generally does not bother me that much. Like, I mean, over the past like week, I've been called a fag like, I can't even count the number of times. Just don't care. Just don't care that much. Okay, carry on being homophobic. Whatever. I've had a friend be casually biphobic and transphobic out of ignorance, and I have no clue if they're bi/transphobic. And if it's a friend, the best thing to do is just talk to them, right? Because ultimately, the worst case scenario, if your friend has said something that is like, you know, whatever, like kind of like phobic or like ist or whatever, like sexist, racist, transphobic, homophobic or whatever, if your friend has said something like that, then just having a chat with them about it is the best way forward, because one, they might just be ignorant and not know. You have the conversation, they won't want to do it again. They'll know better. Good job. Or they actually are just that thing and they won't want to change. They won't want to have that conversation, and you probably don't want to be their friend. Great. So then you know where to end that relationship. And also, if you're nice about it, at some point they will probably come back with their tail between their legs and be like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I was being transphobic. I'm sorry." And there you go. That's the best thing to do. If someone is like that, just have a conversation. Conversations are so good. Honestly, the number of times I've seen relationship problems that I'm like, wow, you need to have a conversation. Conversation can solve a lot of things. Some people don't want to have conversations because they don't like conflict or whatever. You cannot solve this. You cannot solve a problem just by pretending it doesn't exist. You won't solve it. You'll just forget about it for a while, probably. Conversations are the way forward. Do. When you talk about being Scottish, do you go more Scottish? If I even utter the words "I'm from Scotland," I start talking like Robert the Bruce. Yeah. There are a lot of things that bring out the Scottish accent. Talking about being from Scotland probably is one of them. Talking to Scottish people as well. What city in Scotland should I move to become a teacher? I have no idea. I've never been a teacher in any of those cities. Edinburgh seems to have a lot of money. Go there. I was listening to a podcast and the guy said his friend thought seahorses were the size of actual horses, which I found understandable, honestly. I love that. Oh my god, that would be great though. I mean, the thing is that I guess I've always known that seahorses are small. I can't remember a time where I did not know that. And that's interesting. Giant seahorses. It's like giant otter. I found out about giant otters when I was a kid. But giant otters, they're like 5 feet long. So you've got like normal otters, which are maybe like, I don't know this size. I don't know the exact size of an otter, but let's say a normal otter is like that size, like a sea otter, maybe that size. A giant otter is 5 feet long, and they're big. And every single time I remind myself of their existence, I am a little bit happier. You should genuinely look up giant otters. They're so cool. The video's lagging, Corey. There's nothing I can do about it. So, oh wow, it is really lagging, isn't it? What is going on? Hmm. Yeah, this laptop, she is a little bit old and she does not like streaming, especially when I've been doing it for almost 2 hours. So I might have to go at some point soon. Oh, we should probably talk about that thing. That thing that I want to talk about. Hmm. Hold on. Intelligence is a. I enjoy these. I love these streams. I enjoy asking someone much more intelligent than me random questions. I'm not more intelligent than you. Intelligence. It's not. It's not necessarily the best view of it. Like the concept of intelligence is flawed, essentially, right? Like, I could go into it much more deeply, but I don't really want to right now. I think I'm going to do a video or an episode of Sci Guys on it because yeah, the concept of intelligence is flawed and the whole like, oh, this person is more intelligent than that person. It's like intelligence is a lot of different. It's a lot of different things that we kind of just lump into one, and not all these things are related necessarily. And the value that we ascribe to intelligence, I think, it should not necessarily be ascribed to intelligence. It's just it's situational, and it's flawed. To put it simply, it's flawed. Are the majority of my subs Scottish? No, they are mostly from America or the UK. Not sure. I can't remember. Guess the person who was confused about the size of seahorses missed out on the Little Mermaid. I mean, yes and no, because like the Little Mermaid had mermaids in, so and yeah, I just feel like the Little Mermaid had mermaids in, so it's if a film has got mermaids, maybe they made the seahorses small. Oh, also, don't they ride on seahorses in the little? Don't they pull like a chariot? Maybe they saw the Little Mermaid. Help I'm a Fish was my intro to sea life and biology. Yeah, yeah, that's like Help I'm a Fish is a great film. Human-sized bats are creepy. Yes, flying foxes. Yeah, I love them. They're great. They're cool. Big, like, okay. Obviously, we all love this. Like, you can't not love this. Small animals, but they're big, like otters and like giant otters and giant bats. And big animals, but they're small, like I don't know, a pygmy hippopotamus or a pygmy elephant or whatever. Like, oh god, gotta love that stuff. Gotta love it. Like a big spider, like a big friendly spider. Give me that tarantula. Yeah, love it. Oh, dear me. We've got a really good vibe going, and I think I'm going to destroy it at some point soon. Oh my god, I cannot stretch at all. Oh, I really wish I had someone here to stretch my arms. Ugh. Oh, dear me. Chimpanzees are cooler. Oh, chimpanzees are cool. I like chimpanzees. Please do a video on multiple intelligence. Okay, I'll look into it and see what it is. Because I don't know what it is off the top of my head. If it's like the emotional intelligence thing and stuff, like, yeah, that will probably come into the intelligence episode of Sci Guys that I will do at some point. I'm just gonna lean back for a little bit. Let's take it down. Let's take it back here. Let's take it back here for a bit. Okay, I'm gonna go. Oh, God. Oh, dear me. Oh. Wait, how are you able to send... Is that a GIF? I thought I turned off GIFs in that chat. Maybe I turned off pictures. I don't know. How did you get the sign in my background? I've explained this already. My friend used to nick them, and I got one from that friend. Do you think robots could become self-aware? I keep thinking about this. It depends on what you think self-awareness is. Or I don't know. Yeah, it depends. I'm reading a book on that right now, though, I think. Or I think it's about that. I think it will go on that. I would make a great English teacher. I don't think I would. Because I never studied English past high school. At all. So, yeah. When I say I didn't study English past high school, I have not studied English since I was like 14 years old maybe. Second and third and fourth year. Yeah. I have not studied English. Wait, math, Latin, 1, 2, 3 sciences. Yeah, I did not. I've not studied English since I was like maybe 15 years old. Elephants think humans are cute, yeah, and humans think elephants are cute too. Oh gosh. Have I ever had imposter syndrome? Literally all the time. I'm going through a period of having it right now. That's why I can't make anything. It's one of the reasons I can't make anything. I just feel like, ugh, what am I doing? Because this is the thing. I've made the. I don't know if you've noticed, right? Some people have noticed, which is great. Um, I've upped kind of like the tech of my uh. I'm gonna delete this because it's really distracting me. Let's see. Yeah, I'm deleting the GIF purely because it's distracting me. Um, but yeah. Um, so I have upped the tech of my videos over the past while. I very impulsively bought a new camera, a very nice 4K camera. I've experimented with doing some like actually kind of like nice lighting. I've tried some of that. I've like the audio. I've tried to get better audio. I've just tried a bunch of different things, adding all that in, and I just I've been really struggling. I feel with the actual content. I've just been struggling to be like, well, I could make it like look better and sound better, but like and be maybe edited better, but like the actual like thoughts and content of it, like I I'm just struggling to feel like that is up to scratch. Um, and like I it's probably going to be fine at some point. I just need to start putting more stuff out. But I have this issue where I'm a perfectionist, but also that doesn't mean anything I put out is any good. I'm a perfectionist, so I will like not start or finish things until I'm like, oh gosh, well, I've not put out I've not put out a video in a while. I just need to get this one out, and so I'll put it out with like I'll just rush it because I'm like, oh, I can't do this because I can't start filming this video because I need to research it perfectly. And then I'm like, oh, I just need to get it out now, and I'll just rush it out. So I'll be fine though. Ugh. I think you'd make a great teacher in general, like especially science teacher, because I learn more from your channel and the Sci Guys than my actual Nat 5 chemistry class. Yeah, thank you. I would love to be a teacher. If it was all good students and people that want to learn. But yeah, no. I think the thing is, right. A lot of people are like, "Oh, this is better than school. This taught me better than school." But I think what people need to remember. Oh boy, that is toasty. What people need to remember is that like school is like serves a very different like sort of purpose and function than Sci Guys does, right? Sci Guys gets you interested in science. School teaches you the actual science that you need to sort of know. So like I think what I can be good at is like getting people engaged with something and getting people really excited about something and showing people all the cool stuff and giving them like the sort of drive to go off on their own and learn more, hopefully. But when it comes to actually teaching the stuff in school, I think that is the way that school that is more of an issue of the way that school is set up rather than an issue of the teachers, you know. Ooh. Ah. Oh, sorry, I forgot that I was streaming for a second. This light is just really, really hot, and it's just really. It was very nice to touch. Thank you for the compliments on the content. It does mean a lot. It means a lot when people say nice things about it. Um, but yeah, it's just been it's been tough to get things out recently on my main channel, which is why actually I've made the second channel because I can just put anything up there and not worry too much about it. Um, and yeah, which is why again the second channel as well for anyone that watches the second channel, you got to remember that that is just that is not the same as anything else. That's like reaction content. That's like me just making a quick video talking about something without like researching loads or thinking about it. It's just like my thoughts on stuff, right? And so I like that channel. I'm gonna like really avoid talking about stuff like talking about stuff that I do need to research, but it will just be like I've got a thought. Like I think I'm making a video. I think I've filmed a video. I don't even know if I'll upload it. Hopefully I will. About Snape, about this what's it called, this TikTok that I saw about Severus Snape. I decided to make a video about it. I think sci-fi has incepted us into believing that seahorses or whatever are horse-sized. Yeah, I mean, I guess I've never thought about seahorses being big, because I guess I've just always had an idea of how the size of seahorses. Although saying that, I would not necessarily be surprised if the biggest seahorse was bigger than what I expected it to be. Let's see. Oh, there was a question that I saw. Oh, I don't want to see. I don't want to respond to, but I've missed it, I think. Oh yeah, a lot of people. I mean, I think everyone has imposter syndrome. I think it's a perfectly normal thing to have. Because being able to accurately assess your own like abilities is like, I don't think that's something that everyone would be able to do constantly all the time. You know. But yeah, Corey, your content is very unique in my opinion. Thank you very much. I've got a whole video coming out soon about, it's a like community video. It's like a Q&A sort of thing about this. A lot of similar questions to this, so I won't go too deeply into it. But yeah, there are. I'm gonna be talking about that soon once I've edited the video. I've filmed like 3 videos this week, and I've edited none of them. Yeah, I actually need to edit one of them once I finish doing this, I think. Pro or anti-Snape? Anti-Snape, obviously. Snape is awful. The TikTok was pro-Snape, and the video is anti-Snape, because Snape sucks. As a person, like as a character, he's fine. Ah. Oh my god. Oh. Ugh, yeah. Oh yeah, if you're not subscribed to Still Not Corey, find it. It's my second channel. That's where I'll make weekly videos. What's my favorite Sci Guys episode? I always say the vaccines one. The gender ones are good. I don't have a favorite specific episode. I like some conversations that we've got. So whenever we get to have a good conversation about like sort of more philosophical stuff, is always great. That's always fun. Yeah, that's always good. And then the vaccines episode where I just got to debunk anti-vax stuff was really fun for me. Yeah. Oh yeah, if you do make videos or if you do make content or whatever over my Discord, there is a section for that for people that are making videos. If you want to chat about that, it'd be very fun. But yeah. So if you do make videos, definitely head over to the Discord and pop into that chat. I think capitalism contributes to imposter syndrome a lot. I feel like my art and music isn't valid unless it produces money. It's so weird because it's my hobby. Why am I judging myself over it? Yeah, no, absolutely. In the NFT video I'm doing as well, I'm going to talk about the sort of commodification of art, and it's interesting to me because like I remember seeing this Tumblr post ages ago where like really everyone sings, right? Singing is a thing that everyone does, like singing in the shower, right? You don't need to be good at singing for singing to be like the concept of being good at singing is so interesting to me because like singing is just something that everyone does. It is just a thing that we all do that is like good for our brains. So it's interesting that like we have ascribed value to these things, like like you can be good at singing or you can be bad at singing, but ultimately regardless of whether you're good or bad at singing, like singing will make you feel better unless like you've got the societal expectations of like, unless you've got that sort of societal thing in your head of like, oh, I'm bad at singing, therefore singing will make you feel bad. But like kind of like if you remove all of that, singing will make you feel good. So like there's no one that's good or bad at art. Like art therapy, it's so obvious, right? Art is just something that people do. Being good or bad at art is like irrelevant. Like if art makes you feel good, or if art makes you feel good, or if you can get your emotions out into art, or if you enjoy doing art, then you are like good at art. Like And obviously, like, you can be technically good at singing or technically good at art, but those techniques are like not. Those techniques are like they're not the reason that we do the thing. You know, they're not like it's so strange that we've ascribed that value to it. Well, it's not strange. It's just like I don't think it's necessarily helpful for a lot of people. It's yeah, I don't know. Did you ever have a genuinely bad teacher? Personally, I once had a teacher tell me I did not deserve to pass my GCSEs because I was a bad person. Um, I don't think I had a teacher that bad, but there was a teacher in the school that was just seemed like he hated children. And he sent, so we had this thing at school called, oh, what were they called? Oh, I can't remember what the things were called. Basically, you'd get written up for something, right? And it'd be sent to the office. Like, basically, it was sent like this. I don't know how they did it, but you get written up for something, and I think once you got three of them, you got a detention, right? So there was this teacher who did so many of who wrote so many students up that apparently they started just ignoring. This was a student rumor, so it might not have actually happened, but apparently started ignoring his write ups, and he once gave me a write up for like two write ups, one for each sock, because they were out of uniform. Because while they were black socks, like at school, I like to express my individuality by wearing interesting socks, and I didn't have any plain black socks, and so I went to the shop with my dad, and I got plain black socks one day. I got black socks, and they had they were like plain black apart from one tiny little alien on them, and you couldn't see the alien that was on them when I was wearing my trousers because it was above like the cuff of the trousers or whatever. And he specifically tried to inspect my socks, and he was like, "Oh, you've got they're out of uniform," and he gave me another one. I'm just like, "Why are you doing this? Why is this so important to you?" He genuinely was just like, he did not necessarily seem to care so much about like the kids learning, and I think that's what makes a bad teacher. Like a teacher, okay, so there are lots of factors that influence like a teacher's job, because they've got very difficult jobs, so there's lots of factors that influence a teacher and their teaching. But when a teacher seems to be not at all focused on actually like their students learning, that is like I think like them being bad at their job. So much of expensive art is expensive for tax purposes or money laundering anyway. Yeah, I read that. I don't know how true that is, because I read that and then I read something contrary to that. But yeah, no, the value of art is just so weird and strange. My sports teacher was so bad that he ended up being banned for being a teacher and ended up working in a kindergarten instead. I feel like if you're banned from being a teacher, if you're banned from being a teacher, you shouldn't then get to work with younger people who are more impressionable and malleable, right? It's wild. Oh, gosh. Oh, the space-themed ones. Yeah, we did a playlist. I said I would make the playlist. I didn't make the playlist. Jamp made the playlist because I forgot. And then I went to make it, and Jamp had already done it. So, well done, Jamp. Thank you. Yeah, the space ones are fun. Einstein's Brain one. I'm glad you enjoyed that. I don't remember that being like a particularly outstanding one, but I'm glad you enjoyed it. It's interesting. Okay. How about this? Why don't I'm gonna go pee, I think. And then I will come back, and then we could maybe talk about that thing that I want to talk about. I think that makes sense. Although I think there was something else that I wanted to mention, and I cannot remember what it was. It's gone from my brain. Loving the second channel. Thank you very much. I remember a teacher said my shoes were out of uniform. They made me sit out during a movie, but then called me back in for the rest of for the test about the movie. That is hilarious. That is awful, right? That's bad, but that's quite funny. Like it's I don't think that a kid's uniform should ever impact their learning, because following the rules of a uniform is secondary to someone's learning, entirely. And putting that up, by saying your learning is suffering because you will not follow these arbitrary uniform rules is ridiculous, because you're then saying that what is more valuable in a student is their ability to follow arbitrary rules rather than their sort of right to learn. Yeah, don't be excited about the thing. The thing is not an exciting thing. The thing is, it's a hot topic, and I'm only going to talk about it on here, and then I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to have this conversation again. But I'm going to go away for a little minute, and then I'll be back in a sec, and then we can talk about the thing. So when I get back, we can talk about the thing. But until then, please feel free to go to the Discord, have a chat on Discord, or maybe I'm going to mention it again. Go to my Patreon or to the merch store, or just sit in the chat. You don't need to spend money. We can just chill. Oh God. Okay. I will be back in a little bit. is back. Hello, I'm back. Oh, God. The ace and non-binary ones have sold out. Yeah. I cannot, the thing is, with the merch, it costs a lot of money to get the stuff made. And I can only get, there is a minimum amount that I can get made. And making like the ace or the pan stuff, there is an extra charge on top of that. So actually the ace stuff costs, not only like is it difficult because I need to order a certain amount, there's also a premium essentially on getting the ace stuff as well. So once those ones are sold out, that's pretty much it, unless I make a different drop. But it's just very, very expensive to get those done. To the point where like I'd be losing money if I was to try and restock them. I mean, if there is a demand, right, what I might do is put out like a sort of like waiting list. So if there's a demand, then I could get more of them. So long as because obviously if the demand can meet like the sort of supply, then it's fine. But if I was to just get some more because some people want it, I would genuinely be I'd be losing a lot of money to do that. Which unfortunately I cannot do. Oh no! So the thing is not about Rogan fans dislike bombing my video. No, I spoke about that at the start. I'm not that bothered. It's funny. It's actually very no. Okay, I'll speak about it very briefly. One more thing I'll say. It's very funny. The people that are like, this person. No one knows who this person is. This is the first video that anyone has seen, and everyone hates it. And I'm like, well, this isn't even the most viewed video on this channel, and this is also my second channel, and also that's not even my most viewed video. Where are you getting this from? Just because you have just found this video and you don't like it does not mean that that's whatever. They are silly, very silly people. Although I'm sure some of them are very lovely people. I mean, I just think that the one, what do I think of the allegations of fraud? What allegations? Oh my God, Jake, don't do that. Don't. That was mean. I was worried for a second. There are no allegations of fraud. I am not a fraudulent man. Hello, thank you for joining, Jake. Jesus. That is really mean. You can't do that. You can't do that to me. Oh dearie me, don't do that. Definitely want to go on the waiting list for the merch. Okay, yeah, okay, well, yeah, I will see about setting up some kind of waiting list for merch, if I could do that, but I don't know if I can do that. There's also new merch maybe coming at some point. If you're a patron of mine, I'm sorry to keep on plugging this, but I have been on Patreon a lot recently. But no, there is a new design that I've got, that for merch that I think I'm going to be releasing at some point at some point this year, hopefully. I say at some point this year. Again, it's very different from it's not very different. It's quite different from my other stuff. So it's going to be kind of difficult to pull off properly. But yes, there is a new design that I'm working on that I might release later this year. And if you're a patron, you can see roughly what it is. It will change a little bit, but yeah. Just fraud in general, like broad, wide-reaching fraud. I am against fraud unless it is for good. Fraud is bad unless you do it for good, I think. That is my take. You can quote me on that. You can take that to the bank. Right. The Thing. Does anyone know what The Thing is, or am I being secretive for a reason? I'm not being secretive. It's just that if I say what The Thing is, if I ever say what The Thing is, I need to start talking about The Thing. And there have been some good conversations, so I've not actually wanted to talk about The Thing. But The Thing. So okay, there's two things, really. So I will talk first about the first thing. The first thing I want to talk about is, I feel like, okay, right, have any of you ever sent a message to a creator that you follow, asking them why they have not spoken about a particular topic, or asking them to talk about a particular topic, the topic being sort of current events? So have you ever sent a message to an influencer, a creator, someone that you follow, to say, hey, why aren't you talking about this current event. You should be talking about this current event. Has anyone ever done that? It's okay if you have. I won't bite your head off or be mean to you. I am simply curious. Can't wait for the next merch drop. Sounds exciting. Yes, it is very exciting. Thank you. Fraud is... Oh, no. Don't say that, Jake. Fraud is good unless it is bad. That's fine. Ah, dear me. Yeah, so has anyone done that at all? Who's everyone's number one favorite YouTuber here? Asking you too, Corey. Don't ask that question. No, don't ask that, because like if anyone says not me, I'll be very... No, I won't be hurt. It's fine. My number one favorite YouTuber. I don't have a number one favorite YouTuber. I watch lots of people. Billiam. I've been watching a lot of Billiam recently. Actually, in my in the video I've got coming out soon, I'm talking about a lot of the people that I've been watching a lot recently. Billiam. I like Billiam. I like H Bomber guy. He's good. That lot. I think it's quite evident the people that I enjoy. But also, I was asking a question. I got distracted. Yeah. Has anyone ever sent a message to an influencer asking them to talk about a particular current event? Seems that no one has. Yeah. I won't bite your head off, he says. I won't bite anyone's head off. I promise I won't. Yeah. Okay. It seems like people don't do that. Yeah, okay, cool. Great, fantastic. And if you do that, you've asked opinions on things, that's fine. Okay, so that's fine. This is the thing, right? I, over the past few days, have received messages from people asking why I've not spoken about the very big current event via the very big current event that's happening right now. And I've also had people message me when I have spoken about this current event, and this is the thing. It seems that people nowadays expect every single person who can be described as an influencer, every single one, to also essentially talk about every single current event that's happening, right? So like the Black Lives Matter thing, everyone was expected to talk about that, which I'll get into that in a bit, but the Sarah Everard case, everyone was expected to talk about that. And now that this whole, oh boy, he's going to say it, now that the whole Israel-Palestine sort of conflict is in the news a lot now, I think almost every influencer I know has spoken about it, or has been getting flack for speaking about it, or has been getting flack for not speaking about it. And I kind of just want to talk about like whether people, like, the sort of obligation to talk about current events, because like if we're gonna really like get it down to the most basic element of the point, I don't think that anyone should be... I don't think people are obligated to talk about current events. I don't think people are obligated to talk about the sort of Israel-Palestine thing right now. In fact, I think that actually a lot of people should probably not necessarily be talking about it as influencers. I'm not saying like, personally. I mean, in their capacity as a creator or influencer. And yeah, Nugget, that person was right. No, this is the thing, right? A lot of people are expecting people to talk about this, and I fundamentally disagree with that, because obviously I need to be informed on stuff, right? And if I'm going to talk about something, I need to be informed on it. And just by virtue of having a platform, it does not make you qualified to make to talk about something. And even if I'm going to share something, I need to make a value judgment on that thing. There is no way for me to talk about something using my platform. There's no way for me to talk about something using my platform without me having to look into it deeply, look into it on some level, and at some point make some kind of value judgment, right? And at that point, then like, obviously, like, it is not possible to educate yourself and post about every single current event, right? Like I had someone, and again, this is like not trying to single anyone out, and I'm not trying to have a go, but I had someone in a stream, I think last week, ask me to talk about the Colombia situation. I find out what was happening in Colombia this week. I'm not going to talk about it. I don't know enough about it, and I don't really think that me mentioning it on stream can really necessarily do much. because just mentioning it, what is that? Like, I feel like you'd need to have some kind of like, this is what you can do, or like, here is what is happening. I'm not qualified to educate anyone on the subject, and I don't know what can be done. And you could say, well, then you should take your time, and you should take your time and look into that, because it's your responsibility as having a platform. And I don't think having a platform means you've got a responsibility to talk about these events. I think that having a platform, your responsibility in having a platform is to use the platform responsibly. I know that seems a bit redundant, right? But like, your duty or your obligation when you have a platform is to use that platform responsibly. That's why I had an issue kind of with Joe Rogan, because Joe Rogan was not using his platform, in my mind, responsibly, by just saying like, oh, well, I just, say whatever kind of comes to my head, like that sort of thing, like, and everyone kind of gets that. I don't think that's necessarily responsible. I also don't think it's responsible to just post about something because you feel like you have to. And this is the thing with the Israel-Palestine thing. Like, and again, I don't want to be like, oh, woe is me, because I know a lot of people are going through a lot of awful things in the world right now, and this is like this is the least of the world's problems. But I am in a very comfortable position. But I do want to talk about this because I think it is, at least in this sort of it's like, in this sort of conversation, it is like important, right? Yeah, like, I think if like the responsible thing to do is not necessarily always to talk about a thing, like, especially if you're not educated on it. And you can't expect everyone to be educated on every single thing. And you can't expect people to be educated enough to make sort of value judgment on every single situation. For example, the Black Lives Matter thing. We had people feeling obligated to post something about Black Lives Matter, and that's why we ended up with Blackout Tuesday, which was nothing. It was such a non-thing. But people that were not educated on Black Lives Matter like felt that they had to post something, and so they did that. And it wasn't necessarily very helpful and didn't really do anything. All it served to do was make people feel like, I guess, better about themselves, feel like they were doing something, or to shut the people up that were coming after them. And like, this is right, and this is the thing. I'm gonna be honest, right? Like, it is just, it is. I don't know what you expect of the people that you follow. I am not here to teach you about current events. That is not my job. That is not my purpose. That is not what my platform is for. Obviously, I want to use my platform responsibly, and therefore I will occasionally, at my own discretion, talk about current events or talk about important things that I feel confident that I am able to talk about, right? I will talk about Black Lives Matter. I feel like I'm confident in being able to talk about that. And the thing is that, like, I think the difference between this and like sort of Black Lives Matter and the Sarah Everard case is that, like, fundamentally, this is like those things are much more straightforward and simple than this situation right now, right? And I'll explain why that is, right? So, Black Lives Matter, there were sort of clear issues, right? And there were sort of clear directives for what you could do. You could share the post, you could donate to X fund, or you could donate to bail funds, and this was the problem, right? The whole sort of Black Lives Matter situation that we had just last year was, this person was killed unjustly on video. The people that are responsible did not see justice, and this also points to a greater issue within our society. That is fairly like sort of, does not take much to sort of grasp that situation, right? And it's relatively, right, like, I know this is a very controversial issue, and that's why it was so sort of like heavily spoken about, but it is relatively sort of uncontroversial in that, like, it's very easy to understand which side you fall on. Like, you either believe that systemic racism exists and it contributes to this kind of situation, or you don't believe that, right? And obviously there is more nuance than that, but like, broadly you can do that. And it's more easy to sort of reduce into sort of simple terms. Same with the Sarah Everard case. Like, it's much easier to reduce into simple terms. And these are single cases that point to broader issues in our society, right? So they are, I think, much more understandable and much more digestible. And so it is understandable that more people were talking about those things than people are talking about this. Because also, right, posting, say, Black Lives Matter was something like it was very easy to do, right? And or posting links to like things things for people to educate themselves on the topic, right? Very easy to do and involve like very little sort of pushback, right? Whereas this situation, the Israel-Palestine situation, like it is a very complex situation, right? Like I will, by the way, I am going to tell you my thoughts on this once I have finished this. This is a different conversation. Right now, I am talking about the responsibility or the obligation for people with the platform to discuss current events, whether they are obligated to, right? I don't think they are. But I am going to give my take on, or like not that I think that I need to give it, not that I think that it's important, not that I think that my opinion on this is something that you should all be taking into account. I don't think that is necessarily the case, right? But I will talk about it. I will tell you like what is like I will give my take on it after this. Do not worry. I will do that. But I don't think I should have to, and I don't think I should be expected to, and I don't think that the people that follow me should be looking to me for that kind of information. If you need that information, look to the news. It is far better for you to share amongst you and yourself and the people that you know, right? And yes, I can reach a lot more people, but that also means that like if I get it wrong, I can get the wrong information to a lot more people. And again, this situation is sort of inherently more complex than Black Lives Matter and the Sarah Everard thing, which is something that everyone's kind of talking about. And like educating yourself on it is not very straightforward, right? I avoided this. Like I avoided even looking into this for a long time. I only shortly before like I started to have more of a platform, I looked into it to understand what was going on. But I knew that it was controversial. I knew that it was like I had an idea of what kind of like side I fell on, but I did not want to enter conversations about it. I did not want to get involved. There wasn't really anything that I could necessarily do. I just did not want to engage with it. And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to do this at some point. So I just bit the bullet and I looked into it and I tried to educate myself on it, and I knew what opinion I had. That's fine. That's great. But now it's a situation of like, there are people who are influencers, right? Who just like, they just have followers. They just want to maybe talk about their fashion stuff. You know, they just want to talk about their music stuff. And people are suddenly expecting them to give a take, or like, especially this is the one that I think is ridiculous, to give a take on the sort of Israel-Palestine conflict, right? That is just unbelievable. I understand that you think that people have a platform. Again, people that have a platform should use it responsibly. But sometimes the responsible thing is to not talk about something that you are uneducated on. And expecting every single influencer to educate themselves on a topic, on every topic, such that they can disseminate it to their followers is unrealistic. It's not going to happen. You should not be harassing people for not talking about a topic that you think they should be talking about, right? Like, you just shouldn't. And yeah, I understand that you have, like, with a platform you can touch many people, and so you can do great good, but again, as I said, you could do great harm. And I don't think that every single influencer could be doing that. Or every single person with a platform like really should be expected to be doing that. Obviously that's not to say that I don't want to or whatever. I did post things about it, but then I very quickly was getting messages being like, this is wrong, that is wrong, you shouldn't be posting this, you shouldn't be posting that. And I did not know that I knew enough to like, I did not think I knew enough to tell whether those messages were just from people who disagreed with me or whether I was actually like wrong in what I posted. So I just took the story down, and then I found something else that you know, I was like, okay, I'm incredibly confident in this, and so I posted that, and I still had people messaging me who have like sort of misunderstood or who disagree or whatever, and it's just like, I think, right, again, I know there is a lot of like horrible, like I know that a lot of people have got it so much worse. I'm in a very comfortable position, but like, when you say to people, when you like, I'm sure a lot of people that are like saying, oh, people should just post about this, kind of don't necessarily like, they think of it as just, oh, it's just as simple as posting a story. It's not just as simple as posting a story, right? Because if you do, like, again, as I said, if you get it wrong, if you right, if you think that posting a story can do great good, then you must also accept that posting a story can do great harm. And so it is not just as simple as just posting a story, because one, if you do it wrong, then that can be very bad. And two, like, whatever you do, people will be like harassing you for it, like actually harassing you, being like, this is wrong, that is wrong, blah 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 blah. It is like, it is stressful, and obviously, again, feeling some stress, like sort of first world problems or whatever. Like, there are worse problems in the world, right? But sometimes people need to center their own mental health. Like, that is just how it works. You like, if like engaging with this is something that is if you're already in a bad place, and engaging with this is likely to put you in a worse place, I do not expect anyone to engage with the topic, right, when it's going to when it's going to significantly impact their mental health. I'm not saying that was the case for me. I'm saying that I know that's the case for other people, not necessarily in this situation, but in other situations. So it's I guess the core point here is that I don't quite understand how we have come to a situation where in people believe that influencers should be giving their takes on it, or that people trust influencers to be knowledgeable enough on situations to share correct and accurate information, right? Because I'll tell you what happens, right? I'll tell you what happens. Like, you want people to be sitting read all this stuff and do all the extra research. That is a lot. People are busy. Like, if you don't expect everyone else in your life to do that, you shouldn't be expecting these people to do that necessarily, right? Or at least every single one of them. And like, what will happen is someone will post like a story with a link to like an infographic. Someone else will see that, they'll click on it, they'll be like, oh, okay, post that themselves. They won't necessarily even read it, right? I'm not saying that I do that. I read things, I do, but like, it just baffles me that people expect this from influencers, because like, that is not necessarily what they are for. That's not what their thing is, and if they are not educated on it, then they can do more harm than good, right? So I mean, that's really the basic thing. So if the question is like, are people with a platform obligated to sort of use that platform to talk about current events and things like that, I think no. I think the people with the platform have a responsibility, or have an obligation, to use their platform responsibly, which in many cases could be spreading the word about certain things that are going on, if they have the knowledge to do so. And in other cases could mean shutting up because they do not have the knowledge. As Beach Creeper has said, if you're not educated, then don't try to educate. Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, I mean, like, this is the thing, right? That is what I think about that. Like, I don't think I should need to give my take on the Israel-Palestine conflict, and like, I don't think many people are educated enough to really necessarily give a take. I don't know what people necessarily want from it, right? I guess like there's some validation, there's some like spreading the word, all of that sort of stuff, but like, especially with this situation where like it is complex. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to both sides here. There is like, I will get into what I think in a minute, but like, you cannot deny that the situation is complex. It is far more difficult to simplify. It's a much more difficult situation to simplify than other like sort of major world events that have happened recently, right? Like, because when you simplify it, like when you take out the sort of nuance of it, it really affects it really affects the sort of what you're talking about, right? So yeah, conclusion: don't harass and demand that influencers talk about things, because they might not be educated and it might not be as good an idea as you think. You should be getting your information from the news and focusing on teaching people in your own life, and hoping that they like, and teaching them to teach it to other people, sort of thing. You spread the word through the people that you know, rather than spend your energy harassing influencers to get them to do it, because it is far more beneficial for you to do it to the people that you know than for you to harass someone that you don't know. And very like, sometimes people aren't going to do it, and sometimes they are. It is their obligation to be responsible, not their obligation to talk about every single situation. And again, I don't want this to come off as like, oh, woe is me, like, oh no, poor influencers. I just mean that that is not it at all. That is not it. I'm not saying, oh, it's really hard for influencers, actually. What I'm saying is that, like, it is just... It, they're the wrong people to expect to do that, right? Like, just by virtue of having a platform, it does not make you qualified to make those value judgments that you need to make when you're sharing that information. It doesn't necessarily make you qualified, and if you're unqualified to do that, it can be more harmful than it is sort of helpful. But anyway, that is what I think on that. That is what I think about, like, the sort of demanding that people talk about the Israel-Palestine conflict. And this is the thing, by the way, if we want to talk about this, right, I'm not saying that we can't talk about this. If we want to have a conversation about this, there is a politics section of my Discord. I don't want conversations about this happening in YouTube chat. I don't want conversations about this happening in stream chat. I don't want conversations about this continuing in my DMs when I've finished this stream. If you want to talk about this, there is a politics section of my Discord. You can talk about it there. I will be reading. I will be responding. That is where those conversations will happen, because I don't want my DMs to be flooded with it any more than they are now, and I don't want it to, like, clog up the YouTube and Discord chats, because I just do not think that it is. I do not think that would be productive in any way, right? I just don't. So Discord, the politics section of the Discord, that is where you can go if you want to have those conversations, right? If you disagree with anything that I've said, or if you think that I've got something wrong, then we can have that conversation in the politics section of Discord. But that is it, right? That is where that will be happening, nowhere else. Oh my god. Oh. So the Israel-Palestine, what does Corey think? Corey thinks it's very complex. That does not mean that I'm trying to say that both sides, there are good and bad people on both sides, blah, blah, blah. What I'm saying is that it's very similar to the story that I posted. The story that I posted with the TikTok earlier today. It should still be on my Instagram story. It was from it's from Joris, someone that is very good that you should check out. But essentially, Israel is the power here, right? And I've had many messages from people that follow me in Israel that are saying that actually it's the Palestinians that are causing a lot of violence and damage. Israel has the power here. Israel has moved these people out of their homes. Yes, there is violence on both sides. That is evident. There is violence on both sides, but there is one group that has far more power than the other, including the power to stop this situation, including the power to agree to come to peace. Regardless, right? This is not something that Jewish people need to answer for around the world. This is not something this is not an excuse for anti-Semitism at all. But fundamentally, what Israel is doing to the Palestinians right now is wrong. And yes, there is retaliation. And violence is not good, but it is not helpful to say there is violence on both sides when there is one side that holds far more power than another. And I understand that, like, there have been a number of teenagers that live in Israel that have messaged me about this. But you need to remember that if you're living in the country, and if you're living in a country and that country is doing not good stuff, they're not going to be so open about that with you, right? They're like, you've got to understand that the information that you're going to be getting is biased. And I expect it must be very difficult to be a member of a group that has been persecuted for a long time, and to feel like that persecution is continuing. Don't get me wrong, there are anti-Semites that are jumping on the situation, but that is not the core of this that is not the core of what people are talking about, right? There are anti-Semites that are jumping on it and being anti-Semitic. That is not it. That is not the sort of core of this. The core of the criticism of Israel is that they are doing very bad things to the Palestinians, right? There is a long history to this, but fundamentally, moving into that area and pushing the people that were living there out, and essentially pushing them into like what is essentially like, I guess, concentration camps or whatever, like pushing them out into there. Not good, not okay, not like, this is non-negotiable, not debatable. That is a bad thing to do. And when there is retaliation from that, and you can stop it, you cannot entirely blame the people that are retaliating, right? There is one side that has the power to end this conflict, and it is not the ones that are being oppressed. Okay? And to be clear, Palestinians are being oppressed by Israel. And I don't want anyone to think that this is anti-Semitism. Like, this is not anti-Semitism at all. It is not. I cannot state that any further. This is not anti-Semitism at all. Like, it is, and I'm not against all people from Israel at all. If you are against what Israel is doing, then I am in support of you, right? Like, it is very frustrating that whenever you post something that is pro-Palestine, you get people from Israel in like saying like, well, actually this and that. But like, fundamentally, at the core of this situation, there is one very powerful group that has far more power, far more resources than another, that started oppressing another and is now sort of like, well, it started oppressing another and is now like saying, well, they're bad too because the group that they're oppressing is retaliating, right? It's a complex situation for sure, right? But that is not to say that, oh, both sides are equally in the wrong here. There is definitely one side that has the power to end this, and that's why people are against that side, because they are choosing not to end it. They are instead choosing the ethnic cleansing and functionally genocide. Okay? That is what is going on here. That is what's happening. That is my take on it. If you disagree, if I'm missing something, fair enough. This is a short stream. I don't want to get too deep into this. If you want to have this conversation, you can have this conversation in the politics part of the Discord. That's where you can have that. Not in my DMs, not in the stream chat, nothing like that. Politics part of the Discord. Go ham, right? Full discussion, whatever. But like, yeah, this is not something that like I necessarily want to continue to talk about. I'm not actually going to talk about it like again on stream. Obviously, I'll be posting sort of, I'll be signal boosting stuff elsewhere if and when I can. If I feel confident that it is accurate and helpful, then I will do so. But it is not necessarily useful for me to just broadcast what I believe or my opinions, or broadcast my opinions or beliefs on this conflict, because I do not have I just don't, I can't do that. That's not something that I don't have the sort of, what is it? That's not something that I have the knowledge or like the authority to do, right? You should not be listening to me on this because I am not qualified. I've told you what I think, but again, I am not qualified. If you want to make your mind up, you should probably look at the places that I've looked. You should look into this yourself. They're at least to my mind, the overwhelming evidence is pointing to what I believe, right? But yeah, if you want to educate yourself on this, I don't know, look at someone that talks about politics. Do that. Yeah. Deary me. Well, wasn't that fun? Glad we got that out of the way, aren't we? Bloody hell. Hello, Raoul. Let's move on from that, like, very quickly. Very suddenly. Again, continue this conversation. Politics part of the Discord. We're not talking about it anymore on this stream. We'll chill out the vibes a little bit, and then we can end it. I don't want to end on this necessarily, but yeah, that was my current take on it. I guess, again, don't think we need to have my take. It's similar to what I was saying the other day, in that with Greta Thunberg talking about it. Why are we looking to a teenage environmentalist to give their take on this situation. Give me 2 seconds. I just need to pop the light back on, and then we can have some questions and have a chat. Hello, Raul. Hi, Corey. How's it going? Love the new channel. Thank you very much. This is going very well. The new channel's going well too. Thank you very much for your little donation. Again, if anyone wants to donate and have a little super chat, you can do that, and I will read it out. I'll read out anything you type there within reason. Yeah, but as I've said, if you want to like continue this conversation, politics part of the Discord. We're not doing it in any of the stream chats. If you do it in the stream chat, I won't be happy. But let's just move on, have some chats, have some questions, chill out, and then I'll leave within the next 20 minutes or so. How about that? Deary me. What's your favorite starter? Pokemon starter? That's Charmander or Trico. One of those two. Or Cyndaquil. I don't have a favorite. Hi Corey, woo Corey. Yeah, hello. Dear me. Corey, what are your thoughts on pushing over dweebs for their lunch money? Now, I abhor violence. I don't think you should be pushing over dweebs for their lunch money. I think you should just be stealing it from them without harming them. They're dweebs. They're not going to fight back. Just take it from them. Also, Jake, I do enjoy the idea that you have potentially just sat here listening to me talk about this and said nothing and come in with this right afterwards. Fantastic. Deary me, what's going on? Great of watching it because the show became horrible in my opinion and aimed at toddlers. Haven't played the games in a while, but still enjoy them when I do play. This is the thing, people are like, oh, Pokemon is for kids. Pokemon's always been for kids. The show especially. Ash is a terrible trainer. Watching it back now, the only reason I can watch the show is because I'm like, I remember this. This is fun. But no, Pokemon is not not good for adults. No, hold on. The Pokemon show is always always been a kids show. Let's see. Hashtag crush the dweebs. Yes, you absolutely have. Of course you have. That is your chaotic energy at work. I do miss it. One day I hope to see you again. Perhaps that would be nice, I think. What's going on? Any more questions? God, I can eat a little bit more today. But I don't know what I want to have. I'm struggling. Not that any of you care. Not that it's important, but I just want you to know that that I've spent the last like maybe 15 minutes or so in the back of my mind trying to think, what am I gonna eat after stream? What am I gonna do? Don't know. I only came online about 25 minutes ago. Yeah, wow, you came online at the worst time. Boy, that was not... There has been so much chill, fun stuff happening in the past 2 hours and 40 minutes, but you came when it got dicey. Oh yeah, you did, like the show has always been for kids. Yeah, maybe I just grew out of it, lol. Yeah, this is the thing. Everyone has like Pokemon has not as a show has not necessarily changed. If anything, I think Pokemon has got better as a show. Having watched the recent seasons, it's not necessarily changed as much as the people watching it have changed. The games, however, have changed. They have actually gotten more simple and streamlined, which I don't necessarily like. And even as a kid, I don't think I would have liked. I know people don't like grinding, but I kind of like because you never had to grind in Pokemon games, but I liked the challenge, right? Like I don't want to be grinding for hours on end like with wild Pokemon, but I want a bit of a challenge. I don't want to be able to just go through every battle and win immediately, you know? And the thing is, in Sword and Shield, it is literally a story point. The game is made to be so easy that it is like a story point that you win every single battle like against your rival, which is wild to me, right? Like back in the days of like the red and blue, or like your fire red and leaf green as well. Well, I played yellow, and fire red and leaf green. But like back in those days, it's like Gary will just come at the worst possible times and be like, "Hey, I'm gonna beat you up along with your pets." Whereas Hop is just like, "Oh man, you beat me. I'll never be able to beat you. I've got such low self-esteem." And you're like, "No, Hop, don't feel bad about yourself. I'm just very, very good." And then at the end, Pop comes back and he's like, "I have my self-esteem back. I'm going to beat you." And you wipe the floor with him the same way as you wipe the floor with literally everyone else. The only way they made the game remotely challenging was by adding some like super boss. And even then it was like, oh, this is more annoying than it is challenging. Oh my god, I can't wait to buy remastered Diamond and Pearl. I don't have my old Diamond and Pearl games. I don't know what happened to them. I genuinely don't know what happened. I think my parents like lost them or something, which is frustrating. But I've never played Platinum, and if anyone has Platinum and they wouldn't mind giving me the Platinum, I would very much I would take Platinum. You could even have my home address if you give me Platinum. It's a fun little trade-off, isn't it? Thank you very much, Chick. That's very kind. I'm very much missing your presence. Sorry for hitting the mic, everyone. Oh, dear me. Oh, no. Oh, no. There we go. Sorry, I'm just fixing him. Oh, dear me. Speaking of Ravel battles, I wish if you lost, then it carried on and didn't force you to win. I don't know. I would like if, like, okay, if I'm picturing my, like, if I'm picturing my, like, sort of ideal, sort of, like, my dream Pokemon game, I guess losing a battle would kind of be built into the narrative, right? Like, so if you lost against your rival every single time, then by the end, when you go up against them as champion, and like you won the first time that you tried, that I think there should be like dialogue for that. Like, and Pokemon, don't get me wrong, Pokemon has a lot of dialogue, right? Like what I like, obviously, like my dream Pokemon game, there is too much to put in a Pokemon game probably, because Pokemon already has so much dialogue. Yeah, no, I would love to see the game sort of take your wins and losses into account more. Like they kind of did it with Sword and Shield, where like it's like, oh, you win because the game is so easy, they expect you just to win every single battle without fail. So it's like, oh man, you're the best. You really are the best. But I would like to see that kind of modified depending on like who, like when you, like basically see that modified, like so that like if you were to lose against your rival, it would maybe change slightly, or if you lose a certain number of times. I never played the game. My brother and I just played card tournaments, and I feel like I've missed out on a key part of my childhood. I don't know. I don't know if you've missed out, really. I mean, you could always go and play the old games. I actually think it would be really interesting to get an adult to go and play the old games, or someone that's older to go and play the old games to see what they're like, and then play the old games and then play the new games, because then you're viewing them without the nostalgia. But the thing is, right, when I got Fire Red and Leaf Green, my dad basically, I played through Fire Red, my dad played through my Leaf Green version, essentially because, like, to get all the Pokemon. I don't know why I got both of them, but it essentially became my dad's game. I remember once, it was like, I was in bed, I think I was supposed to be asleep, and he came and he woke me up, or whatever, and he was like, hey, I've got a choice, I like, which of these two Pokemon do I get? And it was Hitmonchan or Hitmonlee, and I'm like, you need to get Hitmonlee, because I chose Hitmonchan. Like, and he was playing on my game, like on my gameplay or something, like, whenever I was asleep or whatever, so that I could have both the games completed at roughly the same time. But obviously, whenever there was a choice of like a gift Pokemon, he had to choose one that I didn't choose already. But yeah, no, he really got into that like a lot, and he was like an adult at the time, so it's like those games, the old games at least, were very engaging. I don't think the new games could entice an adult who has never played the games before to get into them. So I think there is I think the games have changed quite significantly, and not necessarily in some cases for the better, but not necessarily in all cases. What's the difference between the colors? It's a marketing trick. You see, if you release the same game in two different versions, but have slightly different creatures to catch in them, then you can trick people into buying two versions of the same game. No, the difference between the colors. So the Pokemon the Pokemon fans kind of talk about generations. Basically, the first generation of games you had red and I'm gonna ignore Japan. You had red and blue. And the only difference between red and blue are certain Pokemon that you can catch, right? So not all of them. Almost all of the Pokemon in the games are, in fact, the Pokemon in the games are all exactly the same. But there are some Pokemon that you can catch in red that you can't catch in blue, and some Pokemon that you can catch in blue that you can't catch in red. And the way to get the Pokemon from like red into the blue game is to trade them between the games. And that is it. That is the difference. The later on they tried to make there were some other differences, like and like as I said, Pokemon games are sort of split into generations. So like you've got basically a generation starts when you make a sort of new region, like a new place for the Pokemon games to happen. So like by the 5th generation, they had the differences between the games were like they had different areas in them. There was like a city in Pokemon like Black and a forest in Pokemon White. Wow, so cool. And some of them, like Sun and Moon, when it's daytime in real life, it's nighttime in the game. And in Sun, when it's daytime in real life, it's daytime in the game. Like little differences like that. But the differences are largely cosmetic. They are the same. They are exactly the same game. They basically like code and build one game and then slightly modify it. And then call that another version. Although, so there's red and blue, and then there's yellow. So there's always there's almost always a third version. So you've got the first 2 versions, and then the third version is like the best of both worlds. So it's got different. You can catch slightly different Pokemon from the other 2 versions, but also there's usually a lot of added stuff, like Pokemon Yellow. Instead of starting with like the 3 Pokemon that you would start with in the other games, you get to start with Pikachu and catch all of the other starters that you could only get one of in the other games. In Pokemon Emerald, there's a different area, you can catch different Pokemon. It's like so. Yeah, so that's how Pokemon usually works. It comes out, there's 2 versions of the same game, essentially, and then there's a third version of the same game that is very different from the first 2 versions. And talking about it to someone that doesn't know Pokemon, it sounds very silly, but it makes sense if you're a Pokemon fan. Every Pokemon game, the ocean shrinks because a new continent teleports into existence. Well, I know. I mean, they're always there, though. They're always there. We just don't know about them yet. I mean, Alolan Executor was has been an idea since Generation 1, so that's cool. Am I still drinking water? Yes, I am. I've only got 1 bottle left. I'm so tired I fell asleep. Good night, everyone. Thanks for a good stream. Well, yes, good night. Good night, Sandra. I'll probably be leaving soon anyway. Oh my god, I can't wait to buy... Yeah, I've already read that out. God. Ugh. That'd be awesome. The game itself really only has one flaw. You're forced to play this specific character with a specific path. I prefer games where you forge your path. Yeah! So I think Jello Apocalypse did a really good video on, like, a Pokemon... They made a Pokemon game, essentially. Like, well, they said what their sort of dream Pokemon game would be. And hello, Marco. Hello, Marco. Yes, I'm talking about Pokemon. Yeah. No, so Jello Apocalypse, I think, did a video on a Pokemon game that they'd want to make, and it was way less linear. And I think the less linearity makes Pokemon games better. Like that in Kanto, you can there's the middle 4 or 5 gyms, you can do them out of order so long as you do Surge before, I can't remember who it is. Surge before someone else. But you can do a bunch of gyms out of order, and I really appreciate that. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do like the new games. I like new Pokemon. It'd be incredibly difficult for them to make a Pokemon game that I don't like. However, I really kind of wish they were less linear. And the stories have been alright. I don't know. I think the peak sort of plot, I don't know. I guess the peak sort of story was Generation 5 probably. That was really great. And Emerald is like forever my favorite game. So if they made it more like Emerald, like challenging with like a lot of post game, that'd be great. I think the replayability of these Pokemon, these new games, is just not really there. There's not enough to do. There's not enough exploring, I think. Have you ever played any Zelda games? And if so, what's your favorite? I've only played Breath of the Wild. Oh, I've played some cartoon Zelda games and some other ones. But Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild is an amazing game. I like Breath of the Wild. I like when the game lets you choose the gym order. Yeah, like choose the gym order a little bit at least, you know? And I like being able to explore and find stuff. Like the Reggies in Pokemon Emerald, Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. Perfect. Shit. Sorry. Perfect. Like, and like little, like exploring little stuff, like Mirage Island, like all of that is great. And there is less to explore in the new games, I feel, right? There's less to kind of like I feel like if you speak to NPCs, there's just not as much there. I feel very railroaded in these games, whereas in the old Pokemon, like, and especially because they got rid of HMs, it's like I always remember playing the Kanto games and like going through like I guess Viridian Forest. Oh, this is off the top of my head, by the way. Going through Viridian Forest, right? Well, actually in Kanto, right? What's really great about Kanto, what's really cool is that like when you get more HMs, you can double back on yourself. You can cut through different ways. It's like, oh, I can surf from my hometown down to this place, or I can go from there to there. Like there's new areas to explore. I think Sinnoh did that quite well. And Emerald was really cool, like how it was like sort of circular and like you come through Laveridge. Laveridge? Yeah, you sort of go through Laveridge through the sort of I cannot remember the name of the mountain, the cave, the dragon cavey area. You go through there. Is it even Laveridge? Or I want to say Laveridge. Whatever. You go through the top. You go through one of the top towns, and you go down through. You go down through the cave, and then you pop down, and you're back in, like Rustboro or whatever. Dear me, it's been a long time since I played those games. I thought I remembered all the names of the towns. Or like Vendenturf to Rustboro as well. Like, you know, through the Rustturf tunnel. All that sort of stuff. All of that great stuff. It was so cool. And you just don't really have that in the new games. Which I think is a detriment, to be honest. What, they got rid of HMs? Yeah, they got rid of HMs. So they replaced them in Generation 7 with what did they replace them with? In Generation 7, they replaced them with like the Poke Call thing where you could call other people's Pokemon and they just get you through, like, they get you through different situations, which, like, God, I think I didn't like. And then they basically completely got rid of them entirely in the newer games. And what I think they should do instead, it just seems so obvious, is have HMs essentially be a thing, have them be like hidden moves or whatever, but you can, like, you don't need them to take up a move slot. You just have any Pokemon that can cut something, that could, like, you know, cut down a tree, can cut down, like, if you have them in your party, they can cut down that tree. Or because you can access the box from anywhere now, you just need to have, like, you need to have caught a Pokemon that can, like, perform this sort of like special hidden move to get through, like, it's like a field move, so call them like field moves, right? Or field abilities, like in Pokemon Ranger. And all that would need to happen then is you need to have this, like, the sort of, say, license for this field move or whatever, and then you could call on any Pokemon that you have that is able to perform that field move, and they can do it. And it's fundamentally the same thing as having HMs, because you need to have the issue of having, like, a bloody Bidoof or Bibarel in your party, so you could get all the bloody HMs on one Pokemon. You don't need to have an HM slave. You can just, like, you can have all the fun of HMs and doubling back and, like, increasing the explorability of the world without having to, like, lock you into having certain Pokemon with certain moves. It just seems so obvious, right? Because, like, HMs are great as sort of roadblock, not necessarily just as roadblocks, but also as, like, making like, without HMs, there's not really a way to say, oh, you can't explore this area until later, unless like you just have someone saying, oh, you can't go through here. right? Because like that was the great thing about initially playing Pokemon is that it's like you when you first started playing, you didn't like if you first started playing Pokemon for the first time, when you're playing through it, you got to think like as the mindset of someone who hasn't played this before. When you're playing through it, you see these little trees and you're like, oh, that little tree is different, but you know you can't get through it. And when you see the water, you're like, you wouldn't necessarily think, oh, I can surf on that water, but then if you tap on it and you're like, oh, if only something could get across this, you're like, oh, well, I need to find something to get across this. And then when you finally get like cut, you're like, oh my god, I can cut down all of these trees that I've been seeing for this part, like for this part of the game. Or like when you get surf, you're like, oh my god, I can go across all these water, I can explore all these areas. Would I eat a Bidoof? Yeah, I would. I'd eat that Bidoof. I'd eat that doof. But no, HM's like really added to like the sort of replay, like, well, added to like how much fun it was to explore Pokemon games, and taking them out and also making the games way more linear. Like they kind of go hand in hand, and also I just don't think it makes for as nearly as engaging a game. Dear me, yeah, if they didn't take move space, I'd be happy to use HMs. Yeah, and that's kind of what they did with the Poke Call or whatever it was called. But like, I think the issue is that like it's not your own Pokemon, so it just feels very impersonal, and just like kind of sucks. Like just have the exact. Like, have as many HM moves as there were in Sinnoh. Do that. That's fine. But, like, just make it be your own Pokemon and not have it take up a move slot. Or even if you said, oh, you can, like, this hidden, like, this field move or whatever, you needed to have the Pokemon in your party. That'd be fine, because you could then like, if you got the box everywhere, you could just still switch them out back and forth, but it adds a little extra bit of strategy in there, right? It just seems like a no-brainer, I think. But I feel like the games are being... Well, hopefully with this new Arceus game, the Legends Arceus, like, they focus less on making every single game, like, very child-friendly and super accessible to, like, a casual audience. Because that's kind of the idea, that they feel like people have got less time to play, and so if a game is too difficult, people will just stop playing it and don't want to play again. But then I feel like also if the game is too easy, then people won't be challenged by it. And what's the point of buying the next game if it's essentially the only thing that's changed is there's just different Pokemon, you know? Like there's not a new area to explore. The stories are largely kind of like not necessarily the most well thought out things. It's just, what is there to the experience if not the challenge? Dear me. I never put Pokemon in the box unless the game forces me. I keep the first 5 I catch plus my starter forever. Really? Wow, that's wild. No, I like to what I've started, especially with the newer games, to add a bit more of a challenge in. What I like to do is to make a team of more than 6. And I did do that before, but obviously because it was so difficult to switch between Pokemon in the box, switch Pokemon in and out of the box. Some Pokemon just ended up falling behind. But no, I like having a team of like maybe like 10 and swapping them out and training them up, because it's so easy to train Pokemon now. But if you've got a team of 10, it makes it slightly more challenging and it's a bit more fun. It feels like you're doing more strategy. I enjoy that. More streams. Streaming every Friday. No, I stream every Friday. I would do it more, but it tires me out a lot. So yeah, I don't know if I could do that, but maybe. I might start dual streaming to Twitch as well. Who knows? But I think I'm done. I'm good to go. So any last words from anyone at all? Speak now or forever hold your peas. Will the next games keep the PC with you? The player character with you? I don't know what you're asking. Will the next games keep the PC with you? Am I being silly? Should I be able to understand that? Is it just too late for me? Oh, keep the PC with you. Oh, yeah. I don't know. But it's back in time, so probably not. You'll probably have to go... I saw someone say, maybe it's Toby, Birdkeeper Toby said something about it'd be cool if it was like there was like a Pokemon ranch, where like Professor Oak's in the anime, and I think that'd be cool. You go to like, there's a place that you go on the map, where you drop off your Pokemon and then you can pick them up and all that stuff. That'd be cool. Cool. All right. Well, goodbye to all, and to all. Goodbye. Oh dear me. Yep, soup is whatever you want it to be. That I will see you next week or at some point other time. Goodbye. Thank you for watching.